Welcome back, everyone, to the promotion relegation. We will be going over to Umzansi, who's going to unfortunately have to go back to Inkosi. You're going to find all of that information out through the weekend, basically. And of course, I am going to be your host as Proxy, joined by none other than your Umzansi casters, Mr. DK and Patchy themselves. How are you guys doing? You ready for this today?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, quite excited to see what the teams are going to be doing, and yeah, I'm keen to hear what Patchy's going to say.
Oh yeah. I have so much to say, as you can see. Everything is it's just gonna come out of me today. You're never gonna hear the end of it. I'm just gonna keep talking so much that you're never gonna forget the sound of my voice.
That's what we love to hear, Patchy. That's what we love to hear. But let's first take a look at the schedule for today so you guys know exactly what's coming your way. Of course, we do have 4 maps. It's going to be the beautiful Royal Circle as we go through it. Erangel, Sanhok, Miramar, and then back to Erangel. Quite similar to if you were watching the Umzansi finals. This is the format that we were following as well. In addition to that, let's go ahead and show you the brackets. What you should be expecting for this weekend's promotion relegation matches. Now, stay with me. I'm going to try my best to explain to you how this is going to be happening. So today we have the bottom 8 teams from both Inkosi and Umzansi going head to head. Now, the top 8 from today's matchup will be going straight through to Sunday's games. Tomorrow, however, the top 8 from Inkosi and the top 8 from Umzansi will be going head to head. And of course, the top 8 from that will actually be shooting straight through to Umzansi, with the bottom 8 of those Saturday matches going to Sunday to face the 8 that we'll be finding out today. So I mean, it's sort of like a single elim, then a double elim, and then everyone's got their chances in the rear to go for it. So otherwise, I think it's a pretty fair fight. It's just today, DK, today is going to be pretty much the most pressure we're going to be seeing this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, today is literally do or die. I mean, that's what it's going to be. If you want to be one of those teams to move up in towards Umzansi, you got to bring your all, step up to the plate and make it straight through up in towards Sunday. If you're not one of those 8 teams moving through, you'll get sent right back in towards Inkosi. So the pressure is on. The opportunity is there, and I'm keen to see what the teams are going to do, who's going to be the ones to step up, and I'm expecting this to be quite an entertaining day.
I'm expecting it too. And talking about the teams, let's actually take a look at some of the teams that we should be expecting today. Now, of course, you'll see that some of the icons are there. Some of the logos that you recognize are there. And those are the teams coming through from Umzansi. The ones with the Inkosi logos are our teams, as you can imagine, from the Inkosi Super Cup that are going to be fighting for their opportunity to promote themselves into the Umzansi League. So, I mean, you've got the likes of Spaza 6, Outsider, Citizens Gaming, Nibble, and Toxic Esports. You know, teams, Blank Legion, the teams we know and we love, and we want to see more of them, because for some of them, it was really close. I mean, you know, a few of these teams, DK, you can attest to this, it's really brought out some surprising games.
Yeah, I mean, they've shown a great bit of potential. Unfortunately, some of the days just didn't work out according to plan for them. But this, of course, now is that opportunity to make a bit of a comeback, to show the growth, to show that they've been able to strengthen themselves and just come back better into the next season.
So as we go to the next page, of course, Raze Clan and Black Crystal were some of the first teams you saw from Inkosi, Honored Soul, C4 Gaming, Active Gaming, Altrox, Exo Redefined, and 2K Esports. Now, a lot of these teams were teams that were extremely consistent in coming back to Inkosi, playing week after week after week, and actually making it through to the qualifier. As we know, to qualify for those Inkosi games, it's tough. You've basically got one map, one opportunity to get in there, and if you don't, you know, actually be in the top 2 for those games, then I'm sorry, you're not going to be playing Inkosi that day. So a lot of these teams did really well in staying consistent and coming through. So I'm very excited to see how they're going to be performing today. Black Crystal and C4 Gaming and Active Gaming, actually, which is quite a good match for one of our casters from Inkosi. I'm so keen to see what they're going to be doing today and how it's going to be going. But let's talk about the point system. So how are these teams going to be picking up those points and securing themselves those opportunities that we're talking about? Now, you know the system, you love the system. From 1st up until 16th, there's a difference of points being distributed depending on your position. Naturally, first place will be granting you 15, second will be granting you 12, third will be getting you 10 points. 4th up until 16, you guys can read. I don't explain that, you know what's happening. So ultimately, that's where you want to go. Those placements, those winner chicken dinners, those are really going to be helping you out. And of course, the kill points. The 1 point per kill. Patchy, I know you love to talk about this one. So what do you think about this point system? You know it, you love it. Tell me about it.
Well, it's pretty much my favorite introduction or change that's come to the entire format, basically. When they introduced it, I think it was actually this season, it really did start to change things up a lot because it prioritized the kills very, very highly. And it rewarded teams for actually going in and getting things done, which is fantastic because a lot of teams, we saw earlier on in the development of their life cycle, they didn't like to get super aggressive if it wasn't necessary, and there wasn't really any incentive to get aggressive. And then, of course, on the other side, the teams that were aggressive, their playstyles got punished because they didn't get as much reward for their aggression. That, of course, got switched up. The 1 kill per point means that in a team wipe, not only do you bump yourself up a slot and everyone else in the lobby, obviously, but you also get those kill points, and you can get 4 of them just for a single team, which is great. And we have seen teams that are very capable with taking kills in fights doing very, very well. And we've been harping on about this pretty much all season long, but the ability to balance the points from the kills and the points from the placements has actually allowed certain teams to really, really shine and show us what they're capable of over the entire game. And a lot of teams have really come out to stand on top of the leaderboards in a very, very big way from that. And I think it's probably the best thing for a team coming out of Inkosi, where they're looking to shine a little bit of a diamond in the rough kind of story, looking to show us what they've got. Now is the chance. If they can get those kills in, it's going to be nuts. It could be a game changer for them.
Actually, speaking about that, DK, what is some of the things that you're going to be looking for in today's teams? I mean, obviously, both of you guys have been involved in promotion relegation since we've started this. What are some of the aspects that you look for to know that this is a team that can compete in Umzansi?
It comes down to kind of that hunter mentality that Patchy and I have mentioned in the previous seasons, and that is going to be essential for today. If a team is looking to make it through into that top 8 to battle it out into the next games on Sunday, they're going to have to try and adapt and bring in that hunter mentality, because if they show any sign of weakness, any potential passive kind of play, it's going to be really to their own detriment. And I mean, these teams now all have the same opportunity. The scores have been scrapped. There's a clean slate. They can now step off, prove themselves, and show to us why they belong in that in Umzansi.
Exactly what we want to see. I mean, it's been a long road for these teams that came through from Inkosi, and I mean, it's been a long road for the teams that obviously are in danger of being relegated from Umzansi, because they were the ones who did this fight initially. They've found themselves those spots, and now they're in danger, of course, of dropping off. And it would be sad to see a lot of these teams. I know Sid, for example, he's rooting for Citizens Gaming today, and he's hoping that they do their best to get back in there. But a lot of these teams, there were moments I remember in Umzansi where I was like, why don't we see more of this every single weekend? Why don't we see you do this more often? Clearly, they have the potential, but for me, it was about staying consistent. If you can't show that potential consistently, then there's a little bit of a gap, whether it's your strategy, whether it's the firepower that you have in your team, or maybe it's a little bit of coordination. Something there falls short, and hopefully they would have figured that out for these games, because as you said, this is their opportunity, and this is their last opportunity to stay in Umzansi. And of course, for the teams of Inkosi, I think they must just be hyped. Patchy, if you were someone coming through from Inkosi, what's the kind of emotions you must be running through? It's like one more step, and then you're there.
I mean, at this point, if you really want to get up, this is the biggest chance that you've got to make it happen. Like DK said, it's kind of do or die. So everyone's got a lot on the line. And I think as a proving ground, this is really, really great. We've got two sort of different minds almost. You've got the Inkosi side and the Umzansi side. And they're actually very different in the way they approach it. And I love that, actually, because that every single time we have these promotional relegations, every single time, it's always a toss-up, because you have like half of the teams playing one way and the other half playing a different way. It's like two different styles, and they really do give each other a run for their money, because with Umzansi, obviously we have this sort of really intense high tier gameplay that we come to expect from the Umzansi Esports League, but they're playing against styles that they might not be very familiar with, and that actually gives the Inkosi teams a chance to actually show us something new, something different. And every time we have teams coming from Inkosi, it's always been something new and interesting, and it's always changed the dynamic of the game, even just a little bit. And that's really encouraging for me, because that means that we don't get the same teams every single time. We don't get the same kind of strats every single time. It's always going to be new. It's always going to be different from the previous season. It's always going to be interesting, and I love that. So I'm really hyped to see what the Inkosi teams have to offer. Last time we had these promotion relegations, we had some teams make it up into the Umzansi Esports League that changed pretty much the whole season. I'm expecting that to happen again because, I mean, this is really it. If these teams are hungry, they're going to be able to take the wins here.
Yeah, you're talking about Inkosi strats. I distinctly remember a time in Inkosi where they were upside down car strats. You get a car into the zone upside down, stay in the car, no one's gonna look for you, and they were just sitting and waiting for their opportunities, and that stood out to me. And of course, you know, that it's very creative, and you know, some of the other teams that we'll obviously be seeing tomorrow, their strats really went for, you know, medding through the zone, hoping and staying out as long as possible, and just trying to survive for those placement points, which we saw a little bit of, obviously, in Umzansi towards the finals. We saw a lot of teams, you know, they were in positions that they didn't want to be, and they were just stuck in that zone trying to heal it out and hope for the best. But that zone chunks. So other than the 50 med strats, I'm wondering what Inkosi is going to be bringing to us. I think it's going to be pretty interesting. But I'll ask you guys if you after the first match, what you guys think, how it's been going. But so far, I think we've got a very interesting setup of teams. I think it's going to be interesting that this is the third promotion relegation that we've seen. I mean, DK, are there any like standout moments for you from these promotion relegations that you remember?
Well, all I can tell you is that promotion relegation in and of itself kind of promotes innovation. So I'm curious to see what new strats teams are going to bring into the mix, because this is where we're expecting teams to kind of go over and above of what they've been doing in their respective tournaments. You know, if they're coming in from Inkosi side or coming in from Umzansi side, they can't exactly do what they've been doing there, because this is now where they're fighting for that slot to get back into Umzansi Season 4. So, I mean, they got to bring in some dynamic positionings, you know, some really aggressive plays, but they also need to be calculated with that all at the same time. So I'm looking to see what innovations we're going to be having coming through in the gameplay today, and I'm really expecting it to be quite an entertaining day as well.
I think it should be. And I mean, the fact is that they have two opportunities at Erangel. You start with Erangel, you finish with Erangel. So, I mean, if you needed a warm-up, I guess this is the best opportunity you have for a warm-up right now. But hopefully you'll be warming up real quick, because a lot of these teams we've seen, they've adapted really quickly. And some of these teams really have explosive starts. So I'm a bit worried. I think some of the teams that are a little bit slower to start and really get into their groove are going to struggle today if they don't pick it up as soon as possible. Patchy, from your side, any advice, any last moment tips that you can give for any of the teams competing today?
Actually, I really like the advice that is adapt. I think that's actually a big thing. I think I was actually thinking about it literally as you were talking about it. The Inkosi teams are kind of used to being thrown into the grinder just again and again and again and having to adapt to new teams every single time. Whereas with the Umzansi, maybe not so much. So who knows? Maybe the Inkosi will be able to, you know, dream up some interesting counter strats really quickly to what they see the Umzansi players doing. You know, maybe it's going to be the other way around. Maybe the Umzansi players are going to eat the Inkosi players up one by one. Who knows? I'm very, very interested to see. Seriously, I think the best advice is adapt. Don't play static. Don't take anything for granted. I think especially because you're playing against teams that you haven't necessarily played against. I think be on the swivel. You know, be quick to change. Don't try and brute force your way into something that doesn't seem to be working. Just play the game, have fun, but you know, obviously make sure you're on that what Sigma grind set.
Well, we are currently just rehosting the lobby, so that's why the delay. That's why everyone's hearing us talk so much today. But it's fine. We can chat a little bit more and walk into the things that we should be expecting today. I mean, out of the teams that we're seeing today from Umzansi, I mean, we've got the likes of Nibble, we've got the likes of Outsiders, Spaza 6, Citizens Gaming, and Toxic Esport and Blank Legion. Out of those teams, DK, I'm going to come to you. Who are some of the teams that really stick out to you? Teams that you sort of have a very good feeling about for this weekend?
Well, in all honesty, we've seen some great potential come in from the likes of Spaza 6. I mean, Citizens, I know that is Dr. Sid's, that's his home slice right there. All right, so he's going to be sending a lot of love and hope for them. So I'm hoping to see the Citizens make him proud here today. But also, if we look to the players from Nibble, they have shown some great potential, you know, in those early stages of Umzansi Season 3. There was a few unfortunate things that happened. You know, days didn't always go according to plan, but I'm definitely hoping that all of that has kind of been fixed up, and that they've, kind of put a plan B in place to come back strong, to make that bounce back. But also looking at the players from Spaza 6, again, same thing. There's a lot of potential. The teams can really step up. They have the potential, and they have shown quite a bit of that, not only in Season 3, but in previous seasons before that. Because, I mean, if you look at it, this is not the first time we're seeing these teams, these Umzansi teams. They've been around the block several times. So they know what's at stake. They know what they have to do. And I'm now looking in the promotion relegation to see whether or not these teams are going to apply that. And, as Sid would say, is, are they going to try and shake some tables?
That's what we want to know. That's what we want to find out. Patchy, from your side, what do you think out of those teams?
I have to say, it's definitely exactly what DK was talking about. That we've seen these teams around. They have been around the block. They know what they need to do. They understand what's happening. It's not like this is a new situation. They know what needs to happen. And I think when it comes down to that, I think we've seen teams like, for instance, Spaza, like Nibble, like Citizens. We've seen them around. We know that they can do things. The question is what they can do going to be enough to get them back into Umzansi? Because that's ultimately what this is all about at the end of the day. It's getting into Umzansi. Now, the biggest takeaway that a lot of, even speaking straight to the teams that are playing this, even if you don't make it to the Umzansi, right? It's okay, right? It's okay, because Inkosi is actually a great place to hone and refine your skills. So if you were in Umzansi and now you're going into Inkosi, it's not like you're being downgraded. I mean, these are some top quality tournaments that are happening right now. Yes, you're not competing in the Umzansi anymore, but it's not the end of the world, right? The season keeps running. We keep having the tournaments. You just come back stronger, right? All I'm saying now is give it your best, right? Try and change it up. If you've got a new set of strats in your strat book, try something out. If you don't, maybe you're feeling like super aggressive. Maybe your team's feeling really cracked today. Just go for it. Get the kills. Play to your strengths. Don't try and force anything beyond, that. Don't try and, I don't know, copy another team that you've never practiced the strats before or anything like that. Pick out what you're good at. Go for it. Play the game that you have been playing, that you know, that you love, that you enjoy, and just have fun with it, because that's I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Sure, you want the prizes, sure, you want the the boasting points, sure, you want those premium patchy points. I'm sure you want those. I'm sure you want those, right?
I do.
But but yeah, this is a great opportunity to really just hone your skills and abilities and see what you've got in relation to everyone else, and you'll be where you need to be.
Plus, I mean, with Inkosi, you get a few, extra bucks in your back pocket if you do well. So it's not a bad consolation prize, I'd say. Just if they need to keep coming back, they need to keep registering, and hopefully we'll be seeing some new interesting teams. It does sound like the plane is actually fueling up, and all the teams are rocked and loaded. So we should be seeing the first of tonight's map, Erangel, being headed off. And for a lot of these teams, it's going to be rough, because not just today, but they have to come back on Sunday if they do well. If they make it into that top 8 today, they have to come back on Sunday and really solidify their spot in potentially Umzansi, or potentially, like you said, right back to Inkosi to hone, refine, and get ready for potentially the next season. Season 4 sounds pretty good. I want Nodwin to just tell us about that one, and hopefully they give us that announcement ASAP. But yeah, I think the only other thing that we can talk about before we actually see these teams going head to head is just the mentality that you need to keep for this weekend. I mean, you have to keep coming back. Today is, as we said, the most pressure that these teams are going to experience, because it's sort of a single elimination today, whereas tomorrow it's a double elimination, and then that's the result on Sunday. So that pressure comes through today, and that does mean that a lot of these teams need to be steadfast, and they need to hold on to their ground, because if they don't do well today, you do have 4 maps, you do have 4 opportunities. I think it's the better set of opportunities that you have. It's not like a BO3. You've got 4 entire maps to get yourselves in gear and to just go for it. So hopefully we'll be seeing a lot of solid teams today that are preparing themselves for this eventuality. Other than that, DK, I can't think of anything else that we can tell these teams other than just to stick to your guns, to stay calm, and as you said, hunter mentality, go for the kills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also they have to have fun. I mean, essentially, it's still a game, It's a game. So hoping that teams step up in here and they have just the most fun that they can have.
That's what we love to see. And here it is. Your first map of the Umzansi promotion relegation matches is about to kick off. I'm going to leave you in the very capable hands of DK and Patchy to take you through this. The first map of today. Stay tuned. This is going to be crazy. Good luck to you guys both. Let's get it started.
Oh yeah, let's get it started. Ladies and gentlemen and everybody else. Even my good friend M4A4s. Those of you who are not forgotten by me, don't worry about it. We're here. It's Erangel. It's map number 1, and I'm not operating under any delusions, DK. We're probably gonna see some crazy stuff happening right here.
That's what I'm like. I can't even say Loki. That is what I'm legit hoping for. You know, it's like today I'm hoping is going to be a crazy day because, especially even this first match, this is a very important match. This is on this scene is the first time these teams are playing against each other.
It's like
right?
the establishing match.
Yeah. So everyone's going to be feeling it out, trying to see, just kind of where they are and how they measure up against each other in this first initial match. And that could possibly determine the outcome of the remaining 3 matches, because at the end, they return right back to Erangel. So whatever adaptations they were able to make or changes they were able to bring in, we could potentially see that come through in that final match. But of course, first up, we have to get on into this first initial one. We see our zone centering up a little bit over on towards that southeastern side. So it's a friendly zone and a friendly flight path we had, but I hope that is kind of the end of the friendliness for today.
Yeah, I certainly hope that, because we don't want any friendliness here. We want some good manners. We want some sportsman-like behavior, but we want to see these teams go head-to-head. We want to see them pump one another with lead all the way back to the lobby. That's what we want. As you mentioned, a very interesting zone that we've got here. Nobody's dropping on the military island, so I'm very sad and disappointed. Nobody gets any patchy points for that, because that is just unacceptable right there. How dare you? We have a zone right on top of that island, and no one has decided to drop there. For shame. For shame.
I mean, patchy points, they are quite valuable. They are so valuable that there is no monetary value that could actually be connected to it. I mean, there's nothing. It's like
literally priceless.
Exactly. I mean, that's just that puts it kind of, in a league of its own. And I'm curious to see if anyone is going to try and redeem some of those patchy points. Yes, they can't get them by dropping over into towards that military base or even the Sanhok.CAT island, but they could also bring that in with a really strong performance in this match. Well, I would hope so. I mean, not the same amount of patchy points that could be awarded then, but it's worth a shot.
Yeah. You got to be impressive. You got to get that hide and seek maneuvers going. You've got to wipe out entire teams. And speaking of, we already have a little bit of action here. Thug putting some shots in. 11 also trying out here from the citizens. I'm gonna have a look and see if the citizens can redeem themselves. They have a bit of a time ahead of them. Got some work to do if they want to make it back up into the road to glory, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, and I mean, they're right here alongside the players from EXO Redefined, and so far it's a fairly decent position we see for the players from EXO Redefined. Not too clumped up, not too separated, but I'm curious to see how they're going to try and handle this rotation, this play here, because they know there's a team up ahead. It looks like the citizens, they've just slightly disengaged from the position, so again, not an overly aggressive push coming in. But I'm looking for those setups. I'm looking for the teams to move up in anticipation of where they think the zone could be going, and then getting themselves into those compounds that could be quite advantageous in the later phases. And strangely enough, we also see Pachinki is completely open.
Yeah, that is quite strange. Certainly a couple of things that we definitely don't expect, especially since, centrality inside the zone is very much a huge point of contention. It's a big thing that we keep coming back to, especially in Umzansi. So it's interesting to see that is not exactly a priority right now. I'm waiting to see if that's going to change. But for the time being, most of the teams are just, happy to get out there and start looting up, and not really too concerned with placement inside the zone. They're just happy to hit the spots that they like, get the looting going, and then think about the fighting.
Yeah, and we can see a few teams focusing on that looting phase. We do have the players there from Atrox all the way up in towards Saverni. We got Yaya now just moving closer to the edge of zone. But we actually have the players from Honored Souls starting to push up in towards that Gatka region. So again, that is a good region to be in, but of course we'll find out just how good it is once we move up into our second phase. So I'm not expecting any crazy plays to come out just yet. But definitely
Yeah.
as we progress through the phases, I'm looking for that evolution. Because whatever the teams have done in past, they need to leave all that there. Bring in that innovation. Bring in those interesting strats. Just try and mix it up, shake the tables, even throw them out the window if you have to. But I want to see what the teams have to or have in store for us, what they're able to present.
Yeah. Yeah, they've certainly got to have a pretty good showing here if they want to make it up back into the halls of glory. So at the moment, we're watching the Blank Legion just chill around the map, get themselves relocated. I'm interested to see the positioning that's actually coming out here from the teams, because positioning, as we know, is quite important. It's very, very... in fact, it changes the whole landscape of battles as the game progresses. So I'm very interested to see if the teams actually prioritize that placement, or if they're actually just going to go on fights. Because, as I said, I'm sort of expecting a little bit of chaos, because we have these two clashing styles coming in, meeting each other for the first time here on the map. So, I mean, who knows what's going to happen, right? It could be anything. I mean, the teams could just accidentally run into one another and just start a big, slaughter fest. It could be anything that we really get to witness here. We don't know what to expect.
Yeah, and that also makes for quite a bit of an exciting gameplay, as this is, we've mentioned this before. This is the first time that we have the teams on this platform going up against each other, and already we do have a few rotations finding its way on through. We do have the players there from Race Clan moving on in. We do have the players from Active Gaming also just positioned over on towards that eastern bridge. But if we look over onto the western side, Blank Legion and C4, both teams in a very similar position. So I'm curious to see how the teams are going to approach this. Are we going to see a little bit of an aggressive push? Because C4, they're just getting closer and closer to Blank Legion. And if Blank Legion capitalizes on their position already set up, we did see them in a little bit of a high ground advantage there. Are they going to try and utilize that? Bring in those additional points? Or are they just going to wait and see where C4 is going to try and position themselves into?
Yeah, that is a good question. We had a little bit of an engagement potentially off towards the eastern bridge, but immediately broken off by Rays. But of course, C4 also having to make that same decision as they head in towards that western bridge. Because, yeah, you don't really necessarily want to take a fight that you're not expecting. You've got to be prepared for that fight. And C4, they're going to be taking a little bit of an alternate route to try and get around. It seems like they might want to go towards the island. I'm not too sure. But if they want to, that bridge or the water is basically the only way they can be able to do that.
Yeah, and as we now get closer to this next phase, getting ready to pop up once again, I'm hoping it potentially maybe moves down to the south, but even if it moves to the north, it still could bring a level of complexity into the zone, as we've got the teams spread out throughout the entire map, and currently the south is pretty open, but there's still quite a few, advantageous positions further up in towards the north. So I'm curious to see firstly where that zone's going to go, and then how the teams are going to look to position them in that, because once again, Pachinki completely open as the zone now centers up a little bit closer towards that more northern region. This is where we have a few teams already within the zone, but are they satisfied with those positions, or are they going to try and strengthen that? We see the players there from the outsiders already approaching that potato heel position now.
It feels like none of these teams are used to dropping in Pachinki. It feels like the one half from Umzansi is so used to somebody else dropping there, and the guys from Inkosi are in the same boat, that no one realized that no one was dropping in that position at all. And so they just left it completely open, which is very interesting. I'm assuming that that's going to change as the map moves in, and that becomes a very useful position to be. Maybe they'll decide, hey, let's go and see if anyone's here, and they'll find out that it is in fact empty, and then they'll just go ahead and take that spot. Otherwise, we might just see it be completely empty for the rest of the game. You can see Pachinki literally slap bang in the middle of the zone. No one is occupying it just yet. Most of the teams concentrated around the sort of outskirts of the current playable zone, which is definitely interesting, but at least that will encourage a couple of shots, which we do see starting to come through from Raze here. We're trying to put it across in towards the Blank Legion, so a little bit of a skirmish maybe turning into a fight.
Oh, here we go. Blank Legion are just trying to scatter themselves out in this open, barren piece of land they've got to work with. And a good position coming in from the side of Raze, but now the pressure is on. Are they able to defend it? Are they able to fend off the players here from Blank Legion as they continue to push in? A quick reposition coming in there from Zamo just around the edge. But now, is there going to be enough? We got a Perk now, just quickly perched up on the right on the edge of this ridge line. We do have Detective and Libanox just down below. Of course, they're coming in with a little bit of a potential rotate in as they disengage from this, repositioning off into the distance, heading over towards their teammate Rambo there. So that's actually a good play coming in from Rambo, setting up that anchor point just a little bit further away. They have that ability to reset, re-strategize, and then potentially move in and look to get that squad wipe.
Yeah, they're ready to make it happen. Hybrid trailing along behind just a little bit, going to join the rest of his team off to the one side. Doesn't look like AMD is going to be able to make anything significant happen, so they will be able to escape for the time being. And finally, you can see the team starting to move in towards the center, but still nobody has taken control of Pachinki. We've got the Souls team very close, but they haven't actually ventured into Pachinki itself. Not a single team having dared to even scout it out. They're just happy to chill everywhere else except Pachinki right now.
Well, we do see also the players there from Atrox as well as 2K Esports moving into that position around the ruin side. So definitely, again, a potential bit of engagement could come from that. And of course, the players here from C4 getting closer and closer towards Pachinki. But as you've pointed out, no one has dared rotate in, and up comes the players here from Honored Souls now taking the engagement onto C4. They move on through, and this again is a good position coming in from the players here of Honored Souls. They are able to acquire quite a bit of information from this point, put in the shots, and make the team from C4 now just work. And they have to now come up with a different strategy, as one of their players already got knocked out. You can see the rest of the team just lurking around on towards that more northern angle as they try to see if they can find a way back in. But also now 2K as well as Atrox just hovering about a little bit further way up in towards the northwest, so things could get quite tricky.
Yeah, C4, they had to split up one side. Manny just charging in alone, getting head first into a stream of bullets, forced him off to the side. The rest of his team did a good job in rotating off the other side and then going all the way around. Hopefully they'll be able to come and meet him, get that res in, and then realize that Pachinki is open and take control of that area and do some gatekeeping, because right now they're actually in a really good position to stop the Souls team here from actually being able to get across. Right now you can see Styx trying to put some shots across with that Mini 14 there, putting in a little bit of pressure across to this team here from Souls. They're just outside of the zone, so they're just across that line, and they have a little bit of work to do if they want to cross it. Trying to put the shots across, but not able to land them. Styx going to be doing exactly that. However, he's going to find some good damage right here for the team C4, and now they've got control of this border here against the zone.
Oh, I mean, this is a decent position, though. I like the position coming in from Hellboy. Having that off-angle approach, and now the Zodiac just quickly rushing in on the side as well. But now we jump onto the players here from the Race Clan, looking to see whether or not they can push up and get aggressive. Of course, right here alongside them, up on the hill, sharing the space. We do see the players there from the Outsiders. Now, this, again, is that opportunity for the Outsiders to move in, get a little bit aggressive, even a little bit of airtime there for the shoulder bet, as he just makes sure, double sure, that everything is going according to plan. And still a little bit of testing here. The teams don't really know what to expect, so that is why we're seeing this kind of hesitation with the pushes.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of to be expected when the team's not really sure what to expect, but so much damage being done here as the Outsiders are now pushing up, unafraid, ready to do some damage, and they have certainly done quite a bit of it, but they're not ready to overpush just yet. Perk does go down. That might just be the go signal for them to finish these last few players off here. Just playing along the edge, but they have a lot of work to do because the team is split up, so they have to make sure that they don't get picked off one by one.
Oh, I mean, this is a pretty tough position for the players here from Raze to be in. Outsiders right there next to them. The players from Active just on the opposite end. A little bit of an uncomfortable spot, but will they be able to hold their own? Will they be able to push through, bounce back, and potentially even rotate up into a stronger position in that coming phase? But of course, first they have to try and clear it up, and that's a kind of similar situation we see for the players of the Outsiders here. Are now just trying to move on in. We can see those mollies being deployed. Every utility now getting put to use, trying to find the opening, trying to find that gap so they can start moving in. And once they have created that vulnerability, that is the ideal moment to strike. The ideal moment to jump straight in, get aggressive, get those points in. And of course, well, now the players here from the Outsiders trying to weigh up their options. Are they going to try and push even further forward? We do see a slight bit of a split coming in as Orisa and Light now holding the front line, the rest of the team falling back, providing that additional layer of cover, which is a good call because we do have the players from Active just off in the distance and several more teams actually in the vicinity.
Yeah, they haven't actually pressed the attack, which, as you mentioned, has been good for them because that means that they're not in a bad position to get third party. But it does mean that they're not going to be able to win the fight just yet, which is prolonging it a little bit longer than they would want. The teams off in the distance are not in a position to fight them just yet, so they don't have to worry about that. But they do have to worry about the team just up ahead of them. The Outsiders have not pushed up to claim those kills just yet, and now they're having to start to worry about all the teams in the surrounding area. Now, when you have to worry about so many other things, it's very, very difficult to take the one-on-one fight, which could just give them the chance to make a comeback here.
Yeah, definitely quite a few things to focus on. And this is where we look to see how the teams prioritize the fights and what factor in that fight are they looking to focus on? Are they going to try and focus on that position? Are they going to try and get aggressive? And they are really going to get tested now as we can see that big convergence. 12 teams still remaining, 45 players alive as we move up into our next phase. And there's definitely not a lot of space to work with. So the teams have to be so careful. But also, this provides a beautiful opportunity for those high kill counts to start coming in, as this is third-party potential of note.
Yeah, I mean, this is turning out to be what could potentially just be third-party festival right now, because with all these teams moving in, they're all in pretty okay positions to take one another out. The already dead is just going to be pulling the trigger straight on to Titan. Carter takes out Athlia, and now we have a bit of an issue here because we've got a couple of teams right up in the distance and not much cover to utilize here, and that seems to be the case all across the board at the moment. You can see Dead continuing to try and put those shots across, just capitalizing on this slight bit of height advantage that he's got up here on the hill. A lot of teams now going at it as the skirmishes break out across the map. This is a very difficult position to be in. We have quite a number of players still on the board here, and we're running out of space, and we're running out of cover as well.
Yep, and of course now the players here from 2K just looking to hold on to the edge of this coastline. They do have Atrox, as we can see, of course, just positioned over on towards that western front. But the Outsiders and the players there from the Raze clan actually now up on towards that more northern angle. Again, a little bit of an uncomfortable spot to be in, but I'm curious to see who's going to be the team to start that engagement, or rather close it up. Active also positioned over on towards that more southern edge. Quite a few teams a little bit further down from them as well. So again, this position could be quite advantageous for them, and it's all going to come down to where this next phase is going to be moving. As we can see, that blue zone is closing in. All the teams now waiting in anticipation to see where the next phase is going to be taken in. Black Legion all the way up in towards the north with that shift right into the southern edge. Active now feeling quite comfortable in their compounds.
Yeah, and it's the only compound that's actually available in that space, which means they've got the only buildings that are available right now. Everyone else has to deal with very, very little limited cover, which is going to be super, super difficult. Yaya in a very difficult position as well, on top of a rock, trying to maintain the position here against all the teams. The Black Clover right up ahead of them, who are also somewhat stuck and in a very difficult position because that blue zone's knocking on the door and there's no actual chance for them to get around and up onto the land. So they're in a really difficult spot, and so is everyone else now. As soon as they get on up into that region, it's just going to be absolute chaos. Right now, Black Clover, I think they might just be in a spot where they actually can't get up to the mainland from here. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is going to be a pretty tough one, especially seeing that that zone has shifted all the way back on towards that north, a little bit further up north. So it is going to be quite a bit of a challenge unless they feel brave and, you know, they're willing to rotate through the blue zone. There might maybe be a way up, but I'm not quite sure if it's exactly in this position. It is still going to be quite a bit of a challenge to get a safe and secure approach back up onto that top plateau there. But of course, now looking at the position coming in here from Atrox, they are looking to capitalize on that. Outsiders also now rushing into the mix here. A little bit of a bad position coming in there for Light, as we do see Drake now coming in with a beautiful shot, sending it straight on in. Soho on the side of Atrox, just up on that ridge line, looking to send those grenades on down, looking to find the herd. And of course, fortunately for them, oh, he blows up his own teammate. Was that the case? I think it was. Let's double check. The kill feed will confirm that for us. But that is, if it was his own teammate, that is definitely quite a bit of a rip right there. But up we go now. The team's looking to push on in. Atrox being put on a bit of a back foot there. Oh, no, never mind. That grenade actually was quite on point from Soho. But let's see now what is going to happen in the center portion where the players from Active Gaming are still looking to hold on to the compound, but they are getting tested. They are getting rushed.
Yeah, it is exactly what we expected coming out here. It's absolute chaos for everyone else, scrambling for cover, scrambling to stay alive, but it's active. They're just chilling in their compound, chilling in their buildings. They've got this on lock right now. They're in a really favorable position. If they can maintain this spot, it's going to be huge for them. The rest of the team's just scrambling to stay alive. You can see Blank Legion up on the one side, coming up to C4. We've actually got Rays right up here in the buildings, just opposite Active. So they are trying to toss a couple of nades across there to just flush them out. Right now, it's not going to be super easy. They've got a good setup here. Kato just off to the outside is there for a bit of support from the outside. But he does have to make his way across into that zone, which has shifted once again, is still on top of Active Gaming. So Active Gaming really has the zone's favor right now. Everyone else, they're just going to have to try and stick it out to survive.
Yeah, and now for them, for Active, it all comes down to defense. They've already been able to bring in 6 kills. So if they can hold onto this position a little while longer, just looking to capitalize on that hard cover and not get caught out in the window, like we saw Mr. Raji putting that shot straight on through to Bihan here, they could really capitalize and they could be smiling all the way through into those final few phases. Of course, now we're in the 6th phase, getting ready to move on in. We do see the players there from the Citizens trying to push into zone, coming in from that southeastern side. But they do have XO right behind them, and up comes the side here of Toxic as they rush straight on into the zone. That, of course, being the players from Toxic Esports. Down goes Raji. It is now up to Bash to try and bash through the brutality up ahead. Ray's also putting up pretty good defensive play, but will it be enough? Black Legion Detective steps up, gets the strafe in, but unfortunately also gets knocked right on down. Black Legion now having quite a bit of ground to cover to find themselves in that zone. Unfortunately, they do have that anchor point being set up by Libanox, but it is still a highly contested position to be in, and it is not going to be easy by any measure.
Yeah, Blank Legion's going to have to drive this one home really, really hard if they want to make it up into it. As you mentioned, hugely contested area right now, Active Gaming. They just have absolute control of the surrounding area. They have everything that they could possibly need. It is their game to win or lose at this point. And if they get caught out, then it could just be their game to lose. But at the moment, Blank Legion having a tough time at getting themselves in here. Ray's still alive somehow. The Citizens off to the one side are still creeping themselves closer and closer to stay inside that zone. So actually, they're in a pretty good position. A good nade from Ted Bundy, our boy, just putting the damage in. And we also have Mr. Raji and Bash right here up against these crates here. These shipment crates, which is huge for them because that means they're going to have a little bit of cover to utilize. But the question is, who's going to get flushed out first? Who is the zone going to choose as their chosen ones to stay alive for the time being? You can see Bihan trying to put those shots across in towards the Citizens, trying to keep them on their toes, but up comes the blue zone now, ready to close in and choose a new zone for these teams to try and keep themselves safe inside. Everyone has managed to squeeze inside, but how much longer will they be able to survive? These 5 teams are not all going to be able to make it up. So here comes the next zone, and it is going to get a little bit smaller, but it favors Active Gaming. That is a huge problem for literally everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, that's already a good position for the players here from Toxic. They don't have to worry too much. They can kind of rely on the side of Active to clear it out for them, as we do see the players there from the Citizens still having to push all the way through. But of course, Mr. Raji venturing out a little bit too far, has gotten spotted, and of course now faces the consequences of that. Now making it so difficult for Bash to try and get back in and get that res going. Meanwhile, that opens up the opportunity potentially for the players there from Citizen to move back up into zone. But I'm liking the play coming in here from Active. They have spread themselves out in such a way that they are able to cover so many angles, so they can't really get caught from behind, caught off guard. And that to me is a beautiful strategy.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely huge. And this nade, that's also huge. Look at that. What a beautiful nade coming through. That's the kind of stuff we like to see. Absolutely slam dunking an entire team straight out of the map. 4 teams now remaining thanks to that. And looks like it's going to be turning aside straight towards the Citizens. Thug goes out. And that's going to put the pressure on towards them. Raise. Oh, look how low they are of HP. That is just waiting for a nade to just be tossed into their face. Lebanon, of course, on the one side, he is completely alone by himself. Right now, as I said, Active Gaming, it's their chance to win or lose this game. They've got the numbers, they've got the positioning. 11 just going to get taken straight out. 3 teams remaining as Raise now push on in towards Active. They have nothing to lose, except their lives, of course. And so they're moving on up to try and make something happen. Lebanon's just happy to wait out the chaos, wait out the damage, and take that second place, which is looking more and more like it's going to happen. He's even going to squeak out a quick kill there as he takes down the second last player there. Now, AMD, the last one left, and he just has no chance to make this happen. Active Gaming, they've got the numbers, they've got the position, they've even got the zone, and now they've actually got Limonok as well. Out he goes. They've basically secured their chicken dinner in this one.
Yeah, they also got 12 kills on the board, and they're going to be looking to make it 13. Oh, what a cheeky play that is, though. But of course, no surprise, the players from Active swoop on in, claim the winner chicken dinner, do so with 13 points on the board. But I gotta say, though, good push coming in from Raze, as well as Blank Legion. I mean, Libanox just capitalizing on that position. Yes, not showing a lot of aggression, but that is kind of what was required. Stay put, stay quiet, and just sneak all the way through into that third position. So absolutely great start to the day. And I'm curious to see, though, how this is going to translate into the rest of the matches here today.
Yeah, that is certainly going to be quite interesting. We saw a nice nade right towards the end there for some slam dunks. We saw a little bit of interesting plays there. We saw nobody go. Was it Pachinki? Like nobody went in there. So some very interesting positioning happening on the map. But certainly a good way to start things out.
I'd say so. I think we had quite an explosive start. Fun not intended, but kind of intended. But looking at it now, what do you guys think so far of the teams that you guys have seen? I mean, you saw a little bit of unconventional strats. We saw a lot of teams waiting till that last moment. I think we still have 12 teams with like 4 zones in. DK, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking Active Gaming looking pretty good. I mean, so far, a really strong showing coming in from them in this last match, finishing off strong with a crazy amount of kills. I'm hoping to see that momentum carry on throughout the rest of the matches here today, especially for Active. But, you know, also, Raze Clan, they've stepped it up. They've just owned it. It was one of the teams we saw come in from that Inkosi side, so definitely quite a bit of potential there for them. And I'm looking forward to see what they are going to be doing in the remaining games here today.
It's going to be interesting. I think some of the teams are really coming strong today. I mean, Active Gaming, those are one of the teams that, you know, we were looking out for. I know one of our casters is definitely looking out for that one. So it's going to be a happy time for Fire to see that happening, and a happy time for a lot of the supporters of Active Gaming and Raze Clan. And I'm actually quite surprised. I think they've done pretty well. But let's take a look at those standings as they are from that previous game. Of course, Active Gaming, they're on top with 28 points. One of the teams there from Inkosi, and one of the teams from Blank Legion, of course, from Umzansi, coming in second place with 17 points. Raze Clan in third place with 16. And then in fourth place, Citizens Gaming, making Sid's heart very happy in fourth place with 9 points. Toxic Esports still holding strong in fifth place. HORZ, XO Redefined, and C4 Gaming rounding up your top 8 thus far, of course, from this first game. This is basically the standings that we have for today. Black Crystal in 9th place with 4 points. 2K Esports, Outsiders Official, on Untitled Africa in 12th place, Spaza 6 and Nibble Esports in 13th and 14th place, respectively. Patchy, what do you think about that?
Well, firstly, I have to say that active gaming is looking pretty good. Not because I think that, oh, you win the chicken dinner, therefore you must be good, but actually because you see a lot of teams getting handed a really good, favorable zone and then not know what to do with it. But they were able to actually utilize it very, very well all the way to the end and get their chicken dinner, solidify that. So that's good for them. On the other hand, Spaza and Nibble all the way at the bottom, not too sure what to make of that. Of course, the MVP has to be coming out of active gaming. It's going to be Bihan, 5 kills, 852 points of damage with a total survival time of 25 minutes and 31 seconds, which is a no-brainer, of course, coming out of active gaming for that chicken dinner there. But just to go back to Spaza and was it Blank Legion there? Not really what I was expecting to come out of a team. Coming out of Umzansi, teams that I definitely expected to do a little bit better, especially coming out of Spaza. Yeah, I want to see them perform a little bit at least to give us some of those good old memories. Otherwise, hey, I guess it's the new kings take the block. I don't know.
Ooh. We had king killers in Umzansi. Now we might actually have some new kings crowned today. I love how this theme is recurring.
Everything
and
is
looking
connected.
at it, yeah, everything is connected. And I mean, we do have the zone being friendly again on the first map today, so I'm curious to see what map 2 is going to bring us. Hopefully it will be a little bit more excitement for those of you who are supporting your various teams. Hopefully they will be making it in your second map of today. Of course, promotion relegation, the bottom 8, that's it. It's done for them, whereas the top 8 will be going through to Sunday's games. Stay with us. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back, everyone, to the Umzansi promotion relegation matches. Apparently, my English doesn't work today, but welcome back. We have just seen the first map go off, and it was an interesting Erangel. I think we had a lot of teams obviously playing a little bit more passive, and we'll discuss that in a little bit. But for the moment, let's quickly take a look at those standings to remind you of how those games actually went on and what were the results. So, with it being the case, we did see Active Gaming actually take that winner chicken dinner with the 15 points and 13 kills, giving them a total of that 28 point, which, of course, as it is the first game of the day, they are currently the leaders. Now, if you do want to keep up with how the overall leaderboard is looking like, we won't be showing that on stream until the end of today's stream, but you can take a look at that during the break. It'll be on your screen, so that's with one of the many graphics that you'll be seeing there if you want to stay up to date with how your teams are doing. Of course, they want to be getting into that top 8 today, because if they don't, they will be falling off and it will be the end of the journey for them, whereas the top 8 will be going through to Sunday's games. So basically like a double elimination, but the other way around. Looking at it now, though, Sparta 6 and Double Esports, this is something we wanted to talk about, Patchy. I'm going to take it to DK. What do you think about that one? That's an interesting one.
Well, it's a very well-rounded position to be in, to start it off with, because we see zeros across the board. But yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe it was just a bit of an off coming in there. I don't know really what to say about that. Hoping that they come back in the next few matches. They've got 3 to go. Hoping for more points on the board, because this is really not something that we want to see today. We don't want to see teams not bringing any points. We want to see them at least bringing in a kill point if they can't find a placement point. You know, just bring something in. So definitely, I'm not going to be too satisfied with the noughts. Definitely some impressive stuff as we move on. Mr. Bihan there being the MVP of our first match. I hope to see a few more MVPs come through in the next 3 matches.
Hope so, indeed. I mean, that's kind of what we do after every single map, isn't it? We'll see who they're going to be coming through from this time around. But for the time being, with our dad jokes aside, let's quickly take a look at the bracket. Oh, I'm sorry. it's what we do. Okay.
I'd say I'd have to be the only, only proper guy standing here, but I know that's not true. I'm just as immature, so.
It's just we do it before the game. You do it during the game, Patchy. There's a difference. But looking at it now, let's just quickly remind you about the brackets. So, of course, as I mentioned, only the top 8 of today's games, the overall top 8, will be going through to Sunday for another opportunity to get themselves into the Umzansi leagues. Whereas the bottom 8 of today, or rather the bottom 6, as we only have 6 from Umzansi facing the bottom 8 of Inkosi, those guys will unfortunately be going home to the drawing board and preparing for the next season of Inkosi. Tomorrow we have the top 8 of Inkosi versus the top 8 of Umzansi going head to head. The top 8 of that goes straight through to Umzansi, whereas the bottom 8 of that goes through to Sunday's games. So it's a very interesting weekend. I think it's a very fair bracket because it gives a lot of opportunity to those who have been consistent in doing well. Those who have been slacking or, leaving it off, they do have a good opportunity, but they need to showcase their skills today. It's today or it's next season of Inkosi, basically, looking at it. So, Patchy, I mean, what do you think about the bracket?
I really like the bracket. I like this weird system that they've got in place. Like, I say weird because I'm stupid, so I don't understand how it works, but it looks cool. And then the teams go forward and they do a thing, and then they do another thing, and that's cool. The more things that happen, the more stuff that happens is really cool. Like that's great. That gets a thumbs up from me. Basically, what it boils down to, patchy point. But basically, what it boils down to is it's chances. That's what it is. We get to see the full extent of that grinder, because now, before it was just sort of like, we got the teams here, they do a thing, and then they come out. Now they go in and they come out and they go in, and it's like we really send them through that grindstone. You know what I'm saying? It's like we get the serious diamond in the rough action. That's what I like to see.
Okay, so Patchy thinks our brackets are a diamond in the rough, but it's beautiful. He likes it. It's a good diamond in the rough. DK, from your side, thoughts on that? Thoughts on what the teams have to do today?
I think it's good because eventually, as those diamonds get unearthed and get kind of refined, the quality of teams we see then moving back up in towards Umzansi is just going to be on a whole different level. And it's good. It refreshes the whole scene. It makes everything nice and, it just mixes it up. And I'm curious to see, though, who's going to be the teams to make it through. And already today, a few teams showing a little bit of potential, but of course it's a little bit too early to make a just call on that. We'll know round about the halfway point, which of course will be after our following match, as the teams get ready to move into a little bit of that close quarter combat. So yeah, definitely excited to see what the teams have in store for us in our remaining 3 games, but especially the next one. That is going to be the match in which they can go just absolutely ham, get super aggressive, because the map lends itself to that.
Exactly. I mean, Sanhok is known for its third parties, fourth parties, fifth parties. Like,
That's a lot of
everyone
parties.
knows when you're taking a fight. Everyone knows where the party is happening, and they're going to be happy to join in. And there's where you get a really interesting, showcase about the kills, because then there's not a massive disparity. It's not like someone's running away with the 13, 14 kills we saw now on Erangel. Everyone has some very good opportunities to get involved in fights and maybe steal 1 or 2 away from here. So we have a bit more of a distribution of those kill points, which means for a lot of the teams that didn't get those opportunities in the first map, they're going to have one right now. And here it is, your second map of the day. First day of promotion relegation matches. It is Sanhok coming through, and of course DK and Patchy will be here to take you through all the action. Take 2, map 2. Take it away, guys.
Oh yeah, it's take 2, it's map 2, it's Sanhok, it's CQC, it's action, it's promotion relegation. I don't know what else is it. It's a lot of stuff and it's cool, and we're about to witness it and see what happens here. Previously, we had Erangel. Usually, we talk about the bread and butter of that map because it's such a familiar map to so many players. Everyone from Inkosi, everyone from Umzansi. I mean, we know Erangel. But when it comes to Sanhok, it's a little bit of a switch up. We didn't see anyone taking up Pachinki, and I'm never going to forget the fact that in map number 1 of this promotion relegational series, we did not see a single team take Pachinki in map number 1, which is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Or at least one of them, because why wouldn't you? I mean, why would you at least take a look? Now, we don't get a chance to even see that because everyone's going to be jumping straight into the action. So, of course, the first coming through immediately from Hey! I don't know why. I don't know why it's not an E. That should be a 3 and not a 4. If you agree with me, put hashtag Patchy was right. Otherwise, we're going to get into the action super early, which is great. That's what I like to see.
Yeah, of course, coming into this match, we start off with a very plain start, as the teams now all look to spread themselves out. And once again, actually, surprisingly enough, we do have the players here from XO and Raze in pretty close proximity, all the way over in towards Camp Bravo. And as we can see already, a very heated start as Raze has already lost 2 of their players. Now it is up to, is that Lamo, Ammo, whichever. They're going to try and make a bit of a play. I'm always horrible at reading numbers at letters. So I kind of feel for you on Hellboy, which is the one I'm going to go for here, as they now swoop in, find yet another confirmed kill. And this is where Raze is going to be looking to make a bit of a stand. Ammo here, the last remaining player for the side of Raze, now facing quite a bit of a challenge, as it is still early game, not really being able to find much armor, much ammo, much weapons really, and also not having any support.
Yeah, it is a tough time to get straight up into it, but this is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see the action straight off the bat, and that's what we've got right here. AMD not in the best position and definitely getting chased down. There is a little bit of potential to get away from this position, but I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest. And we actually got Reki getting taken out in the kill feed there, as the citizens are finding a little bit of that conflict, and it actually does look like the escape will happen. So AMD just running for his life at the moment. You can see that zone all the way down in the southwest. That's going to be a tough time for anyone who needs to make that rotate, which of course includes AMD. And he's all by his lonesome. He has to find some vehicles and get going, because the battles are only going to continue from this point onward.
Yeah, and of course, it is a very interesting zone to start this match off of, heading all the way over on towards that far western side. Definitely bringing in a bit of a mix, a bit of a change up there. So aside from the teams already getting aggressive in the early game, I'm looking to see what those later rotations are going to bring on through, where the teams are going to try and position themselves, and whether or not they're going to wait for anyone to provide themselves with those kills, or if they're going to get proactive, go out there, you know, become one of those hunter teams that we're always looking for.
Maybe the prophecies will be fulfilled. Perhaps we will see the Hunter team rise from the ashes, or perhaps we won't, and that will be sad. So I'm not going to hold thumbs for that, but maybe we'll get it. We'll see. Right now, of course, we've got Unknown here from Toxic, just chilling, getting his loot going. I'm hoping that the teams get nice and close and ready to go, because with this smaller map, we have a lot more potential for action, which I hope is going to thin the herd just a little bit more to make the final zone a little bit more easy to deal with. Because in the previous map, what we saw was a lot of teams staying alive, and we didn't see too many early fights happening, which did lead to a little bit of chaos into the final zone, especially when the teams ran out of cover. Now, at least there's a little bit more close quarter stuff happening. There is cover, but the teams have to play around it. So we're actually, if you think about it, we're actually kind of doing like total opposites here. Last match, no cover. This match, lots of cover.
Yeah, and an interesting drop I'm actually seeing here is for the side of Toxic. I mean, Unknown, he dropped out all the way in the Unknown there, completely separated from the rest of his team. We do see Bash and Mr. Raji a little bit further up in that safe region. So I know sometimes we do see teams come in with a bit of a split drop, especially on Sanhok, but to me that is quite the split of a drop, with the players there from Citizens, of course, positioned right in between them. But now one of the teams that are looking quite comfortable in their spot is the side here of 2K. They've dropped straight up in towards Painan. They are completely uncontested. They are safe within zone. That looks to be a pretty golden position for them to be in. And I'm curious to see whether or not they're going to try and step it up as they push forward. Will they look to advance their position, get into another comfortable spot similar to this one, or potentially move themselves into a spot that could be a little bit of a crossroads, where we could see a few of those competing teams move into, looking to contest for that. I mean, Outsiders, this position smack dab center zone. So I'm hoping to see 2K maybe rotate a little bit further in towards the zone.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of support and love for 2K over there in the chat, so maybe we should expect something out of this team here. Maybe we'll see them do something great, but for now, we're just going to be watching most of the teams getting themselves comfortable inside of the zone. As you mentioned, 2K in a pretty good position there in towards Painan, nice and safe. They've got some good cover to utilize. We'll see if maybe we can make something happen over there. Interesting to see where the next zone is going to drop. Of course, we've got a little bit of time before that blue zone does close on in, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I see a good congregation of teams up there crossing the bridge to the northwest there, so maybe we'll see a little bit of fighting up in that direction, as well as Unknown, who was very far away from his team, making a re-entry into zone down towards the southeast.
I'm quite curious to see also what's going to happen up in the north here. I mean, I was actually looking at this. We do see the players here from C4 and Atrox just holding on the edge, but C4, they could potentially be looking to gatekeep the edge of the zone. Not quite sure if that is their intention, but we're going to find out soon enough as Atrox is closing in. They're pretty sure that there is someone up ahead, so a good passive move coming in from them. Very cautious approach, very calculated. And we do have those engagements come in. Now Yaya on the off angle, just providing an extra little bit of information, as we do see Jared now the last one from C4 to move out. But of course, they're not running away. They're just purely repositioning themselves, getting alongside those hardcover angles just on the outskirts of this compound. So I'm curious to see how C4 is going to handle this one. Are they going to look to get a little bit explosive in the action here, or are they going to just try and wait and see what Atrox is going to bring?
Yes. Well, we'll have to wait and see. At the moment, Atrox is looking pretty good up here in their compound. If they can hold on to it, it should be a relatively easy spot for them. But as you mentioned, C4, they might just, hard breach their way into this one. Maybe throw something different. You can see just off to the side there, C4 do have a bit of support in the east. So at least they've got a bit of a split take here, 3-1. Going into this. So they've got some support if the team from Atrox does decide to jump out of the cover at the moment. But for the time being, no one's actually overextending too much. C4 actually getting a nice angle here. Manny up in the tower is going to have a good angle down in towards Aatrox, but no one's pushing up. No one is deciding to leave their cover, which might just mean we have a bit of a standoff here moving forward for a little while until something forces the positions to change. Right now, C4 not actually looking to take them out, push them through. They're just playing it slow, playing it safe, seeing if any mistakes are made by Aatrox.
Yeah, and I like seeing Manny, just keeping those fingers nice, limber and loose, just moving back and forth, even while being prone. Now, of course, we have Sticks just trying to rotate up along the side there. But of course, that zone has shifted up. They've only got a few more seconds remaining on the clock before those rotations will then be forced. But again, a good gatekeep coming in from the side of C4, but we also see them slowly but surely moving closer to the edge of the zone. Of course, a few more teams also not coming in with the rotations. XO being one of those, taking to the vehicles as they move on through, but Sovereign now puts the shot straight up in towards Yaya. So good off-angle coverage coming in from C4, and this could be the moment where we see C4 actually, strike down onto the side of Aatrox. But Aatrox just utilizing the hard cover, quickly avenging their teammate, returning the favor, putting the knock straight on through, evening out the scoreboard there. But will the side of C4, though, be able to get all the way around and get their player back up again?
That is the question that we are waiting to have a look and see. Aatrox not happy to push out of the compound just yet. They've got some good cover here, and they should be able to utilize it, though, with that blue zone moving up on the back. It's going to make things a little bit difficult. It's going to flush them out of their position straight into the arms of C4. However, if C4 are not prepared for this, it could just be a disaster. You can see lots of damage being done. Go ahead, trying to make something happen. Pika does actually go down. This is a bit of a stand right here, but that blue zone's going to do too much damage. I think he's down and out of this one. Act coming straight on Aatrox, able to put the damage in. Now they have to outrun that blue, which is going to be difficult because C4 right up ahead of them does have quite a bit of cover to utilize here, so they have to med up. They have to try and play the long game, which is going to force them into a very difficult position, especially since C4 can keep up with that blue. Man, oh man, that's going to be a tough one for Aatrox. At least they have the numbers.
Yeah, a very unified approach coming in from the side here of Aatrox. I'm liking this. Even though they are pretty exposed on this hill, they use that hard cover to move in, try to get those angles, get the knock, of course, right up in towards Manny. And now it is up to Sticks to try and make it work, as Manny is now obviously going to try and creep all the way back up in towards safety. But a really good approach coming in here from Aatrox. I like the situational handling coming in here. But now you can see them, of course, focusing on getting their butts back up in towards zone. They are not too worried about the engagement. All they did is just put the knock in so they can use the opportunity to reposition. So for me, that is a good call.
Yeah, at this point, survival is what needs to happen here for Aatrox. They've kept their numbers good, and now they should just be able to skirt around the edge here. Got some good tactical advantage just being on this small hill. Good spot. In the meantime, Lead actually going to be putting some shots down straight into the players right up ahead of him. And he's got a good angle for it. His team just behind him to back him up, and he's got them split down the middle, 2-2 on each side. It's a good angle to have. He's got to keep them on lock. Heisenberg trying to heal himself back up and try and deal with this situation. He's going to have to make a dash for it or something because they are pinned down in a big way right now. And of course, you do not want to be pinned down on a map like this. You need to be able to keep moving. You need to be able to stay on your feet, because if somebody comes up behind you, if a team just moves up in from a different direction, you're going to have a really, really tough time. You can see on the map there, the teams are actually right in the middle of the zone. So there is a couple of teams in the surrounding area. There are a couple of teams in the surrounding area, should I say. Lead continuing to put the pressure on, but he's taking lots of damage. He's got to get off that rock super quickly. Definitely don't want to be going down to some rogue shots from a team that you're trying to pin down.
I'm not quite sure what approach the outsiders are going for here, because Lead completely on his own. He has no support. He's one-manning a team up ahead, and I don't think that is particularly ideal. I would rather see him reposition back into the rest of the team, or have at least one additional player rotate into that position to provide that support. But of course, looking a little bit further up in towards the zone, we can see the players here from Active Gaming holding just over on towards that northeastern side of the outsiders. And we can see that the outsiders, of course, focusing their attentions right up into this position. But right behind the players there from XO, we do have Blank Legion starting to push in from that southern approach, looking to apply a little bit of that pressure. And I'm curious to see how XO themselves are going to try and handle the situation.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see. Dead going out, and Aatrox trying to re-enter into the zone, finding themselves, of course, once again up in a tough spot. The rest of the team's looking nice and comfy down there inside the zone, so it really just is Aatrox trying to make it across. It looks like they might just be succeeding with their numbers. I'm not sure if they actually wiped out the team there. It looks like they did, so looks like some good success for them. They should be able to re-enter the zone up in towards the north, which is looking nice and empty for them. So it should be an easy re-entry for Aatrox, having won that fight indeed. HP is looking okay as well, especially now that they are uncontested and that northern portion of the zone is looking a-okay for re-entry, which is good to see for them. At least they're going to be breathing a little bit easier here. We've got 11 teams and 36 players alive at the moment. In a map like this, as we move in from Zone 3 to Zone 4, things are certainly going to start heating up from here on out.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be quite interesting as the teams get forced closer and closer together. But of course, we can see the players there just scattered throughout. Black Crystal actually holding their position just outside of Ruins. So they do have a little bit of control over on towards that more northern angle. I'm curious to see what the South is going to bring in. Rays, of course, being reduced down to only one remaining hopeful. The Citizens also now just making their way on through. We do see Thug and 11 on the approach, heading up in to look and strengthen their numbers over towards the South. But with this blue zone closing in, wherever this next phase goes, it is going to be quite a bit of a fight, and it's going to be absolutely essential for the teams already then positioned within that zone and looking to fortify their angles, of course looking to spread themselves out and just provide as much coverage as they can. Very similar to what the players from Active, of course, did coming into those final few phases on our first game on Erangel. So that is kind of what I'm hoping to see, that utilization of the space, of the compounds, of those angles. And now as the zone is about to move, it pops all the way over on towards that far western side. And this is where the players from Honored Souls, as well as the team there, of course, from Black Crystal, could now look to do exactly that. The outsiders, they're of course going to be looking to push a little bit further, a little bit deeper up in towards that zone.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have a look and see what is going to be the case. At the moment, you can see Blank Legion moving up the one side of that rise. They're just going to be keeping themselves away from Souls for the time being. Leading the rest of the outsiders going to actually be moving up towards Souls. They finally made a decisive push, which is what we were waiting for them to do. But are they going to be unified? Are they going to be together? DK, you were saying you wanted to see them be together. This is the time for it to happen as they make their assault here towards the compound of Souls. Was taken, is moving up with the rest of the team just behind him. So at least there is a good force being driven behind this attack. The rest of Souls actually not in a good position. They're all spread out. They're not going to be able to support one another as the assault comes straight through here from the outside. There's lots of damage done. Lead goes down, but the support from the team is there. And that means they're going to be able to win that fight.
Yeah, some really that was a really good move coming in there from the outsiders. A good approach, push in as a unit, but of course now they still have to go and clean up Zodiac just on the opposite end, find that point. But there's also still another player left for Honored Souls, so they got to be careful as we do see Hellboy just positioned up atop the hill there. So he's probably looking down towards them, waiting for that opportunity to present itself, so he can just try and maybe find an extra bit of an angle, looking to innovate the players here from the outsiders. And of course now we do see Hellboy getting a little bit distracted, focusing on those rotations coming through, as we do have Ammo, Lambo, whatever you want to call him, rotating up in it towards the zone. Even Tamo, maybe, I don't know, one of those. It could be any of the aforementioned names, but the remaining hopeful for the side of the Rays clan. Now, Citizens themselves still pushing up onto the edge of zone. We do see XO up ahead, and they do have a little bit of company in the region here, so it's still going to be quite a bit of a fight.
It certainly is. I was reading that name as AMD, but you know what? Maybe it's 7 AMD. Maybe it's 7 AMO.
I don't know.
Maybe.
IMO?
It's 7 AM o'clock.
I don't know.
Yeah? 7 AM o'clock? I think I'm going to go with that one. 7 AM o'clock. In any case, the Citizens now moving down on towards the compound here. It looks like they're a little bit of in drips and drabs at the moment, trying to put up a bit of an attack as they need to get inside that zone. They've chosen a very difficult spot to try and make it happen. Hero going to put some damage in there, and there's some serious work to be done here if the Citizens want to try and get back in there. 11 going down immediately, and the Citizens just finding themselves in an unwinnable situation. Just no way that they make it back into this one. There is just too much resistance in that blue zone. Now going to make things extra difficult.
Oh man, Thug just hugging the edge of the compound, being able to find that opening, landing the hits, beautiful play come through. But of course now, the side of Citizens being reduced down to 3. Oh, up comes the spray as 2K just sneaks in with those cheeky shots off to the side. And now it is up to Dammy to try and get their numbers back up. And a good third-party play here by 2K, as we do see Matar 20 Matar. Yeah, whoever. Again, some numbers confusing poor old DK over here. But let's see if Matar can do what matters and find the closure onto the Citizens.
Man, oh man, we need some standardization of gamer names right here. Orisa moving up, putting the shots in, gonna get the thirst as well. That's Vegas going down. Like 10 teams remaining now, 25 players alive here, but lots of rotations need to come through here for these teams. The Outsiders are included in that package as well as the active gaming team as well, because they need to make their way into the zone. It is shifting up time and again, and as we know about this map, it does not slow down whatsoever. It just gets more and more crazy, and we're going to go down. The Citizens getting exactly what we expected in that tough situation that they found themselves in. Matar, of course, going to pick that up. Dejaro was taken, actually going to go down as well as Pihan picks that up. He gets clapped back immediately, though. Orisa going to pick that up. Lead goes down as the Outsiders now under some serious pressure as they try and re-enter into the zone, but everyone else is here too, and they're joining the party. They're putting the hits in. They are not going to be going down without a fight.
Yep, up comes the contention once again. The pressure is on, the heat is on, but who's going to be able to stay cool, calm, and collected? Of course, now Gad 007 looking to hold on just out in the blue zone as Ted Bundy gets taken on down. So we're not going to be seeing that aggressive play come in from active gamers as we had over on towards Erangel. But it is now down to Gad to make that final stand. The Outsiders, of course, now pretty well spread out. Of course, they do have a few casualties come in to their side. But will they be able to make their comeback? Meanwhile, we do see the players here from Black Crystal, of course, now looking to find a crystal clear approach. Meanwhile, we do have the Outsiders meeting a very abrupt end there as the blue zone comes on through, just devours them, and we are now left with 7 teams to find it out.
Oh boy, we are seeing those numbers going down nice and quickly. Hybrid now keeping the Soul team pinned down with that crosshair train exactly where they are to be. Hybrid now trying to take refuge in this house towards the end of the zone, but it's on the outskirts. They need to make their way across very, very soon as that blue zone is on the move. Zodiac trying to rush down the hill, but there's too many crosshairs. Down he goes immediately, getting thirsted as well. Hellboy not going to be able to make things happen. Actually going to find one just as he pops straight up. Nobody watching in his position. That's a nice gatekeep happening right there for him. Not sure if he's going to be able to pick up much more, though, because there are so many players right up ahead of him. And things are just going to be very, very difficult from here on out. Zone 6 moving in towards 7. Zodiac gets down 4 teams and 9 players remaining as we are finally getting into our end game here.
And 4 teams left, 9 players still alive. We do see Sorrow just slowly bleeding out up ahead. Up comes Hellboy trying to make a rush for it. Wow, barely survives that push. Just managing to scrape in behind the tree there. But of course, that blue zone is moving in. Will he make it in time? No! Blue zone being brutal as ever. Just claims the lives and of course reduces the teams down to 3. Blank Legion looking pretty strong. Pretty good coming into this final zone. They do have the numbers advantage. But of course, the players here from Black Crystal still going to try and make a bit of a play, a bit of a stand. Team here from Blank Legion sitting only on a 1 kill. Black Crystal sitting on 3. So they are in the lead with regards to points. But will Titan and Althea be able to clutch this one out as they are now just snaking their way on in? And something that's interesting to notice is they haven't abandoned their backpacks just yet. They're just moving in. And of course, as we know, coming into a bit of a snake off, that backpack could be the thing that gives you away.
Yeah, they're not they're not masters of the snake until you make it strat just yet. They've still got a little bit to learn from Mr. Miyagi and the rest of the crew, you know. Got to do the wax on, the wax off, and all of that fun stuff. Yeah, you're going to be moving straight on up to try and outrun that blue, but you can't outcrawl it. You have to outsprint it here. It's moving in way too fast. Some shots going to go through on towards Titan. Down he goes, immediately taken out. An instant clap back as his position is noted. And of course, Blank Legion going to be taking that chicken dinner.
Yeah, Blank Legion bringing in a nice little chicken dinner in there, but of course, you know, not a super aggressive gameplay coming in from them. Yes, they finished off on 3 points, but again, we're going to be looking to see what that consistency is. We're not always expecting the teams to go to town and just bring in the whole leaderboard alongside them. But this is a good match, a good play. We do have a little bit of a balancing act come in now, as we do have a few teams being a little bit more aggressive. We can see even the Citizens over in 10th place. They finished off on 5 kills. It's still a decent count. And of course, they can build on that as they move into the next one.
I mean, I think that was a pretty good Sanhok. It was an interesting one to look at. I mean, at this point in time, if we're looking at it, Active Gaming is actually doing pretty well. I mean, they came first in the first map. Now they come through in second place, so they're racking up some points on their own. And it's good to see Blank Legion actually coming through and taking that win. That's going to be really good for them coming through with the points. I mean, all in all, we're seeing quite an interesting group of teams coming through. I'm sad that I'm not seeing a few teams not playing tonight. I'm not going to speak much about that, but hey, I mean, the teams who are here, the teams that are fighting for their opportunity and for their chances to get themselves into Umzansi. Now, I mean, looking at it there, DK, what did you think about that Sanhok? Anything that stood out in particular to you?
Just some good handling coming in there from Blank Legion, moving up with their numbers pretty strong. So you can see the side of Blank Legion, they were focused more on the positional play, which is not a bad strategy. Looking at the map itself, if you make any mistakes, if you go into engagement and you don't necessarily succeed in that, you could be paying the price at the end of the day. But of course, a nice price to pay for that is a lovely 18-point finish.
Let's look at this now. So Blank Legion coming, of course, in first place with 18 points and those 3 kills with the winner chicken dinner. Aatrox actually coming through there with 18 points. So sorry, not actually giving Aatrox, but now that's actually looking pretty good for them, picking up those 18 points. On its Souls coming in third place there with 14. Black Crystal in fourth place with 13 points. 2K Esports picking it up there with 8 points. Toxic Esports coming through in 6. Citizens Gaming in 7th, and Outsiders Official in 8th place. I like that I'm seeing a lot of Inkosi teams climbing up those standings. Sanhok is looking interesting. Exo Redefined in 9th place with 5 points. Ray's Clan not doing as good as they would have wanted this time around in 10th place with 4 points. Active Gaming, unfortunately for Fire Watching, in 11th place with 3 points. And C4 Gaming in 12th points with 2. Then Spies 6 and Nibble Esports. Looking at it now, we've got a little bit of an upset. I mean, this is what we were expecting, though. Sanhok, as we know, much smaller map. So much smaller, so it does breed a lot of opportunity for a lot of teams. But let's take a look at your MVP for Sanhok. And of course, it is Souls Hellbay coming through with 5 kills, 590 damage, and a total survival time of 21 minutes and 7 seconds. Not too bad for anyone that's looking to get those points on the board. And I mean, Patchy, how's it looking for you? What was that Sanhok like?
I have to agree with you on what you said there. You basically took the words straight out of my mouth. I really like the fact that we're seeing some Inkosi teams making up, quite a few Inkosi teams making up a good body of those top performers. That's good to see, because what that means is that we've got teams coming up from Inkosi ready to be in Umzansi, ready to make that push. And I really hope we see some of those teams making it up into the next season, because I want to see what they can, what they can do. I don't think that this particular ground is really a ground that we can compare to, for instance, Umzansi or Inkosi, because this is more of like a proven ground. This is a battle arena where the teams are just going in and they are just fighting it out like Bloodsport style to just get the wins, get the points, and try and move up into where they can then prove themselves. So I really want to see some of these teams making it up into Umzansi to see what they have to offer, what they have to bring to the table. I want to see those rough diamonds then polished. So yeah, it's good to see so far.
Again, if you guys want to stay up to date with the overall leaderboard to see where the overall spots are going, of course, we know your top 8, that's where you want to be. So if you want to keep track of that, you can take a look while we're on break. There's some screens that pop up on, you can check it out, check out the points, check out the schedule and the brackets to remind yourself of all that information so that I don't have to repeat that. But for the time being, we're going to go to a short break and we'll be right back with the third map, the third of the last 4 maps of the first day. It's crazy, it's coming through, but we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to the Umzansi promotion relegation matches. We are basically on the halfway point of today. On the first day, we'll see who's going to be the first 8 teams that have gotten themselves a spot for Sunday's games. They're not yet quite in Umzansi, but they will be getting closer. Looking at it now, we have just finished off Sanhok, so let's take a look at those standings to remind you exactly what happened and who came out on top. Of course, as we know it, Blank Legion at the moment took that winner chicken dinner with total points of 18. And when I was taking a look at those leaderboards, they're doing really, really well to secure themselves a spot in the top 8. In second place, we had 8 Sharks with 18 points as well. Honored Souls Africa in third. Black Crystal in fourth place. 2K Esports in fifth place. Toxic Esports, Citizens Gaming, and Outsiders Official rounding up your top 8 for that Sanhok game. Ultimately, it was a pretty interesting one indeed. Exa Redefined, Raise Clan, Active Gaming, C4 Gaming, Spaza 6, and Nibble Esports are on the rest of the leaderboards, obviously not doing as well as they would have wanted, but there is still more opportunity. We still have quite a few maps to go. Looking at it, let's remind you as well who was the MVP for Sanhok and who did the most for their team as much as they could. Of course, it is Souls Hell Bay coming through with 5 kills, 590 damage, and a total survival time of 21 minutes and 7 seconds. Now, let's bring the bracket up just to discuss it, but by now I think you guys have heard me say it enough times. Of course, the teams want to be going for that top 8 spot today to secure themselves a spot for Sunday's games. And I mean, now that we are at the halfway point, I can actually ask my casters what they think and ask them more in-depth questions, because now I can put them on the spot, so that's great for me. DK, tell me, looking at the teams that you're seeing today, do you think that these teams have what it takes to, kick it in the big leagues with the big teams, with all the best in the best, with the Umzansi Esports League? Do you think there are teams today that have that talent, that have that motivation, and that hunter instinct you mentioned?
They show potential. All right. So also
That's a
take into
compliment out of you,
consideration they from here they're moving into the games from Sunday. All right, so they have that final chance to prove themselves and play up against the teams from tomorrow, right? So I think today is more, we're more kind of sifting out the teams that are showing enough motivation to try and push up in towards Umzansi. Yes, we do have a little bit of potential now starting to shine through, but of course at the end of the day, we'll have a better idea of just what that consistency looks like, right? Because having a one moment of glory, yes, it's all good and great and gravy, but are you able to replicate that over several different maps? So the next one up is going to be quite an interesting one, because I was actually sitting thinking about this. Is the team started off on Erangel, which we know is, kind of the bread and butter of PUBG for the current for most of it, right? They move up in towards Sanhok. Is it a little bit of CQC action, after which we go in towards Miramar, which puts them out into the open fields, the open plains. They can bring in a little bit more of that long-range action. And then we return back in towards Erangel, where they now have the opportunity to combine the 2 other maps, what they've learned about their competition on those 2 maps, bring it together, and then potentially make something of that.
I think that's exactly right. I mean, of course, for a lot of these teams, they're fighting teams that they haven't really fought. Whereas the teams coming from Inkosi, they've fought a variety of teams and constantly had to adapt day to day, because the team pool was completely different every single week. So for them, I think they're a little bit more accustomed to doing this this constant adaptation. Whereas the teams coming through from Umzansi, they kind of already know the teams that they're playing. They know. They've already fought them a few times. Maybe they were even in the same group as them. So they were constantly aware of how those teams play, where they drop, how they, decide to rotate, what are their tells. So they're quite familiar with those Umzansi teams. But now, as you mentioned, we're throwing in the wrench in the works that is the teams from Inkosi, and seeing how that's going to change things up. And now, third map, as you mentioned, now they have a pretty good idea. So now, potentially, we might see those teams from Umzansi maybe running away because they have more experience, or maybe it is the teams from Inkosi who are going to take that step up. Patchy, from your side, what are you expecting for Miramar?
Well, Miramar is a map that really plays into the long-range engagements, and a lot of our guys up in Umzansi really do like those long ranges. They really do enjoy this map. So this map could be a map where we see some teams shine, or at least show some of that shine of their potential for the Umzansi Esports. Esports League at least. So I am looking quite critically at this map specifically. It is one of those maps where you do see some good separation of the chaff versus the wheat, as they say.
Well, shine for patchy points, that's basically what he's saying. So, third map here it is. Miramar is a go. Of course, DK and Patchy will be taking you through all the action of today. Guys, take it away.
Yeehaw! That's what I want to see. I want to see some yeehaw out on this map today. We have some good potential here. I think I'm sort of a believer. I like to see teams that don't necessarily shine, super brightly, still be able to make it up, with the hard work and the consistency. With that said, I haven't seen any teams so far really giving us that like oomph play that makes us go, that team can make it up into Umzansi. That team's going to stir the pot. I haven't really seen that yet, but I also can't say that I've seen everything out of these teams yet. So there's still some good potential. Like I said, this map I think could bring out some of the shine out of these teams.
Well, we'll see, Betty. I mean,
you don't sound too convinced.
we'll see. I mean, like I said, there's definitely teams showing potential, right? So I don't want to get too ahead of myself just yet, right? I want to see what they bring, and now we've had Erangel to kind of see where the teams are. Then moving into Zodiac shooting at the rest of his teammates. Not quite sure. Maybe the stars will align for him a little bit later on. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I want to see what the teams bring into this match. That will give me a pretty good idea of what we could potentially be expecting to see, not only in the final match, but moving forward into the rest of the weekend. Because for some of these teams, this is like the trial, the proving grounds, as you've said before. They have to come in, they have to prove the consistency, that they have to show that they have what it takes to move up into Umzansi to compete on another level. And quite a few teams, as we've seen in the first two matches, they've shown that glimmer of potential, but we want the continuation of that. They need to be able to continuously bring that, have that momentum, push through, and not only innovate, but they have to be quite adaptable, as you guys have pointed out already, before coming into the game. The teams coming in from the Inkosi side, they've been playing against different teams every week. And that gives them that adaptability. But will they be able to apply that once again now going up against the teams coming in from Umzansi? And will it give them an advantage? Will it put the teams from Umzansi at a disadvantage? There's so many different ways this cookie can crumble. And I'm just waiting to see where exactly those cracks or where the crumbs are falling, or whatever you want to use for that analogy.
Yeah, now you've just made me hungry. That analogy just makes me want to have cookies and sit here and dip them into my tea. But for the time being, we'll have a look and see. Indeed, we will see what is going to happen right here. Toxic just chilling. I did see Adrox jumping down there onto that island down towards the southwest, so that's going to get some big patchy points. Abbreviated as, we're not going to abbreviate it on stream, but there it is right here. You can see them chilling. They're all alone. Aatrox, nice free reign, easy peasy loot for them. We've got some teams down towards the south, and as we know, there's a lot more space in between the teams than meets the eye. So if there's space there, it's obviously quite a bit of it. You can see that they indeed have all of that island to themselves. They are not going to be challenged, but they also have to make the rotate because the zone is slightly up towards the north. But it is good to see a team at least making use of the space that they have available. Up in north, we do have quite a couple of teams a little bit closer, at least, to one another. So there's some potential for fights to break out in that particular region. I'm hoping that they do. As you can see, there's a good concentration of those teams up north. But yeah, as we know, the distance can be a little bit bigger than it appears initially on this map. I am hoping that we see some skirmishes happen, though, because one thing that I've been noticing across these games so far is that the teams don't really like to tussle all that early.
Yeah, I mean, so ideally in the early game, you don't want to get overly aggressive, as you could do something that, could be quite disadvantageous a little bit later on, right? So I get it, it makes sense, but you also don't want the teams to take a passive approach, So ideally we want them to try and jump at every and any opportunity they get. And like this opportunity here for Jarhead, that is just golden. But of course, the trigger discipline now coming in, just looking over towards the players here from Dishonored Souls, not pulling the trigger just yet because he knows if he pulls that trigger, hell's going to rain down on him. He knows he's outnumbered. He doesn't have the support of the rest of his team. And as we can see, they are not anywhere nearby on the mini-map. So he's got to be very, very careful with it. But of course, now up comes Clutch. Oh, there we go. Right. Okay, so nice defensive play from Jared. But now the element of surprise has just left the building. Right? What is he going to do with this now? Because he was kind of forced into that situation. So I'm curious to see whether or not we're going to see the rest of his team now rush in to try and strengthen this position. Because so far, Jared was holding up pretty good. But now, fortunately, he has a few meds. But how long is that going to last him? This is where we need that rush. We need that fortification.
Yeah, he has to be careful here. This might just be the end of him. And indeed, actually, it's just going to be straight up zoomed on by Zodiac there. Just comes up with that buggy, puts the shots in, literally no chance for the clutch. I was hoping that it was going to be isolated to a 1v2 and maybe we were going to see some crazy Jarhead clutches. Unfortunately, that was very well managed by Souls there. Zodiac just taking the opportunity. He knows exactly what needs to happen and surprising Jarhead with that very quick push from the buggy, instantly jumping out, getting those shots in. No chance for the clutch, which is great for Souls. At least they're going to be able to pick that up and contain the situation. The rest of the team's going to be making their way in. I mean, most of the team's already comfy inside that zone. The north looking very, very crowded. Then, of course, we have Aatrox down in the south making their rotation nice and slow.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good position for the side of Active. I mean, they are just perched there in that center zone. They've got Graveyard, they've got Minas Generales. You know, they can just sit back, kind of. Not too much, but they can sit back a little bit. Think of how they're going to try and handle the situation when the rest of the teams move in and, you know, join the party, because it's quite boring having a party for one. I mean, it kind of low-key sucks, right? So we'll see, of course, where the rest of the teams are going to be going. And speaking about parties, we got C4 and Honored Souls here side by side. And this could be another potential run for them. I mean, already they've put the shot up into Jared, but will they now bring in the aggression? Souls, they just go right for it, just returning the favor once again, putting the shot straight on through a Sovereign, gets taken right on down. And now, C4 being reduced down to only 2 players.
Yeah, it looks like things are going to be a bit difficult here for C4. They are split up and there's not much they can really do in these positions. So you're going to see Styx just making his way out and trying to get away potentially back to his teammate, or at least they're going to group up and maybe get out of the situation. Probably the best call. Otherwise, they might just go in for the re-aggression, maybe try and catch out some of those Souls players. It was a reposition from Styx to be a little bit closer to the teammate. Now they are sitting on either side of this road, but I'm not sure if this is going to give them much more advantage. They have the potential to pick off one. You can see Darko's there in the building opposite Styx, is completely isolated for the moment, but with Hellboy moving up, I don't think they're going to have much of a window here. There is at least one player onto the side, so Hellboy moving up has given a little bit of the opportunity away, but honestly, I don't see a really a situation where C4 has the advantage here. They're going to be on the back foot the whole time unless they can get a pick here, or potentially a third party from one of the other teams. You could see Toxic in the background there, maybe making something happen. So I guess it all rests on Souls, whether they decide to re-aggress into the rest of C4 here, or if they're able to pick them apart, because Styx and, of course, Manny are two isolated sides of that road.
Yeah, I mean, the only window I see currently for C4 is the one that they are, you know, leaning out of, trying to put the shot straight on in towards Soul. Already a good start coming in there from Styx, but again, he finds the knock, and now Zodiac and Hellbay, they now need to try and push on through. Instead of worrying about their player looking to try and potentially get him out, they need to try and ascertain the exact position of the players from C4, because that is where their focus needs to be. Because if they get caught with you know, their pants down, it's going to be a really bad situation for them, and C4 is going to walk away from it smiling. So it's a little bit of a tough play here, but I'm liking also this potential disengage coming now from C4. They've put the knock in, they use that opportunity to get away while the players from Souls are distracted.
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. That's a good mentality to have. You know, engage just as much as you need to get a foot in the door in terms of what you want to do, what you want to pull off, and then just pull back. You know, make sure that you're not over aggressing, you're not overstaying your welcome. You know, Souls is
Mm.
putting on the pressure, so you take some engages, you get that knock, and as soon as you've got that foot in the door and you know what's going on, instantly pull back. You've given yourself the space to breathe. You've given yourself the opportunity to make something happen. You can move back, which is what they've done. Now they do need to meet back up and move down because, of course, that zone is slightly to the south of them. Toxic also just very close, which means they need to be careful of those third parties potentially, or some gatekeeping even, depending on who gets into the zone first. The rest of the teams, as you can see, congregating inside the zone. Hacienda del Patron completely one-sided in terms of the control of that team there. Of course, El Azahar is a little bit of a different story. You can see the citizens right up there with the rest of Toxic, which is, of course, split up in between their positioning. The rest of the teams just chinchilling around Minas Generalis and the general area inside that zone. So I'm interested to see where the rest of the fights are going to break out. For now, I think we're probably going to see a little bit of engagement up towards the north, especially as that blue zone is pushing them down slowly.
I'm curious to see though what C4 is going to be doing. All right, so out of the 3 teams we see positioned up into the north, C4 is the only team that's not in the top 8. So any and every opportunity they can jump at to try and find a few additional points is definitely what I'm hoping to see from them. But strangely enough, we do see the side of Toxic. They had one of their players up here just now disengaging, heading back down in towards the zone. But they're coming in with a very, very split up approach to this match. We can see Bash just hanging around. We did see the rest of the team positioned much, much further away, all the way back up into zone. I'm not quite sure if that is the best approach for Toxic. I mean, it could maybe potentially pay off trying to cover so many different angles, but going up against the players here from Souls who have the numbers advantage in this current engagement, it's going to be pretty tough for Bash to push through this one.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out. I think I definitely agree with you there. Toxic is a little bit too split up. Bash not able to really make anything happen here. Now that they're stuck in the blue, it's going to be easily Souls' game here for in terms of that. They'll be able to take him up pretty easily. Of course, you can see that zone moving up to the north, so it's still close enough for the rest of the teams to make it in. You shouldn't have too much of a problem. I think most of the problem will be re-entry for teams like Rays, maybe Aatrox, who've made the very long rotate around from the south there. Almost BBC style in terms of just taking their time and staying out of trouble for the moment. Bash still trying to outheal the zone and stay alive, taking a fight up against Zodiac, who's really shown us a good bit of aggression this game so far. So have a look at C. Zodiac slowly pushing up. He knows that the spotting is in his power, but up he comes instantly over the side of the rock, or the top of the rock, instantly going to win that fight as well, just off the back of his good engagement and the support from the teammates is there just in case, but he doesn't need it. He just wins the fight out, and our Souls can rotate down for free. There's a nice little gap for them to get back in there. The south of the zone, however, is looking a whole different story.
Yeah, I mean, especially looking at the position of the outsiders again, a little bit of separation coming in there for them over in towards that Minas Generalis region. They are obviously up on towards the high ground. But I'm curious to see how they're going to try and approach this because they are in dire need of points. They're only sitting on 6 points coming into this match. So they are quite some ways away from that top 8. So it's definitely going to be quite an important engagement for them. Also looking at the players here from the Citizens, we did see them sitting in that 6th position coming into this. The players here from 2K also, they're right on the edge of top 8. Sitting on 10 points, the entry up into top 8 currently is sitting on 14. So if they're able to find some of those additional points, we could potentially see them move on through as they are taking this engagement with the outsiders. The outsiders, of course, as I've pointed out, still in dire need of points, and a little bit of a oof coming in there for them. That was a little bit of a rip, but I'm not quite sure if I like this position from lead and R.
Yeah, when it comes to this map, you know, the long range engagements are really, really good, and height advantage is always great. But I think I'm on your side when it comes to that one. I'm not too sure about that positioning specifically. They're not really utilizing it as you know we can usually see being done here. So unless they can make something happen with that position, I'm not sure if it was the best decision to make or the greatest advantage, especially if the team is going to be split up. You need to play a very specific style. We usually see it when there's a team in a compound up ahead and you've got a good angle on them. You send like 2 of your players up to the top, and then 2 of your players down into the compound, and you play this sort of like support game where you try and push the compound slowly from that side. It's a difficult one. I'm not too sure if that was the call in this particular scenario. So for the moment, we'll just move over to Titan here from the Black Crystals, trying to put a little bit of pressure in across towards Active Gaming. They're down towards the south. You can see the south still looking absolutely chaotic with all the teams in there. With the blue zone moving up, it's going to go all the way down to the south. So those players up in the north are in for a bit of a jog.
Yeah, not only a jog. I think that is maybe even just a little bit faster paced jog coming in there. But you know, coming into this match, the teams obviously they want to play to their strengths. This is not the place to try new things. This is where you get back to basics. You do what you are most comfortable with, and I'm curious to see how that is going to unfold for a few of these teams. Of course, looking at the players here also now from the Black Crystal. They've actually been performing fairly decently today. They are currently sitting up in that 5th position. They have a decent spot within the zone. Now, of course, we're going to be looking to see whether or not they can hold on to that position. And, of course, also a few engagements happening all the way up in towards that far northern position towards the players there from Honored Souls and C4. And slowly but surely, the players there from Honored Souls are dishonoring their own position.
Yeah, and well, now we've got ourselves a 12 teams remaining situation. Here's the teams in the north are going to be moving down into that zone. Libino going to be getting a couple of hits off before he gets taken down himself. First, immediately coming out from Zaylee there. Manny taking the sprint as one does, getting into that buggy. Make sure the team tries to escape. Dot goes trying to clutch it up and just shut their escape down, but man's in a very difficult position. Lots of damage done here, and I'm not sure if he should have been taking that fight right there. Of course, he's turned all the attention towards him. In the meantime, Active Gaming now up against Blank Legion. Got Bob and Rambo trying to make something happen. Lots of damage being done in there as well. Reki going down. Dead puts the hits in Bihan, trying to heal himself back up to reaggress and take this fight. The Blue Zone moving in once again in 20 seconds. It should close on up, and that's going to mean that Blank Legion are in a bit of a difficult spot as it's moving up. 7 going to take a snipe at Dead as Aatrox now taking a fight as well. So we've got some skirmishes happening across the map. We're down to 11 teams, soon to be top 10.
Yeah, and that's a strong combo there, hey? Rambo and Bob looking to see what they're going to bring in, whether or not they'll be able to play the ridge line. Of course, putting the shot straight up into Bihan. And now, Gad just lying in wait. They have this ridge line to play with, and this is actually a beautiful position for Blank Legion to push onto Active. But as we can see, those third-party shots are finding their way on through as Rambo and Bob now get ready to move closer, moving in behind the vehicle. Ideally, this is where we would like that vehicle to blow up to provide that extra bit of hard cover for them to utilize. But now the team here from Active actually getting picked off one by one, and from what we can see, it seems like they only have a 3-man team left. Yes, of course, Ted Bundy just on the opposite end there. Gad and Bihan left to try and put up the defensive play. Blank Legion in the meanwhile also now getting knocked right on down as Bob pushes over to Rambo. Very weird combination of names to put in one sentence. But either way, well, here we are. Bob and Rambo behind the vehicle. I can't, of course, read those symbols. I have no idea what they mean. So hence the name Bob here. So I'm curious to see, though, whether or not Blank Legion is going to be able to find anything. They are sitting quite comfortably on that leaderboard, but are they going to be looking to dominate and just try and strengthen their hold that they've got? Or are things going to fall through?
That is a good question. I mean, they're in a good position to be able to try and keep that a little bit of that consistency going. I mean, if they can get some points here for themselves, they get some kills, maybe get a knock or two, keep their positioning good, they can definitely keep themselves pretty high up that leaderboard moving forward, which is great for them. But of course, it's going to be a difficult task, especially considering that zone has shifted up in towards the north from their position. They're going to have to move up, which does mean that somebody has to move. It's going to be Active or Blank Legion. One of the two has to get a move on relatively soon. As you can see, the rest of the team's now making their way across. You can see Aatrox now taking the fight as they try and re-enter the zone, and Blank Legion not in a good position, taking quite a bit of damage. Bob now trying to push through, chasing Active Gaming, as Active Gaming does need to make that rotate. They've decided, you know what, stuff it, we're not going to take the fight. We're just going to get our positioning good, which is actually great for Blank Legion. They're going to take that one for free, but they, of course, do need to make the rotate themselves as well. Rambo following suit nice and quick. Everyone going to be rushing in to make their positions solidified there inside that zone. We're down to our top 10 teams here. Of course. You don't want to be top 10. You want to try and be top 3 right here. You want to get those top 3 finishes. You want to try and get that chicken. You want to try and get those points as well. What better time to make it happen than right now as the teams are getting nice and close in proximity towards the east. You can see some fights breaking out there, and the south also going to start to get very populated very quickly.
I'm liking this push coming in from the side of Rays. I mean, yeah, they're not in the best position, but they are actively trying to change that. As we can see now, just splitting up, hugging the edge of this ridge line, trying to find the ideal approach, spotting and identifying the players from Citizens up ahead, choosing to not push straight up in towards them, instead going for a little bit more of a wrap around approach. So for me, that is a good call coming in from the side of Rays. Now, of course, we're going to look to see whether or not they can find the pressure points onto the Citizens there and just open up that gate for themselves to get beautifully set up in towards that zone. Already we do have the first knock coming straight up in towards Cartel, so a slight bit of a I don't know, I wouldn't say a rough start, but that is a little bit of a setback. But 11 just handling the position here, making sure he can find those heads, and Thug actually now starting to rotate right up into the players here. Oh, here we go. Rays now really getting challenged as they are being reduced down to 2. Now we look to see whether or not Lucas can hold on to that position. 11, meanwhile, he's just letting it fly in every and each direction. Dammy now looking to push on in. Lucas looking to try and hold on, but will he be the one to get the clutch for his team? Of course, now venturing out into the blue zone, not the most ideal position or direction to be heading up into. But the Citizens, they are now just like hyenas, just hovering on the edge of that zone.
Yeah, this is not a good place to be. I don't think that Lucas is going to make it out of this one. I think it's basically done and dusted. You can't fight that blue. We know it. We've seen it too many times to really think about any chances here. I mean, if this final dash is enough, maybe it'll happen. You can see just barely making it towards the edge of that zone, but there's so many players in the vicinity. I mean, there's no ways that the burst doesn't come through immediately upon re-entry for the time being. You can see all the teams just struggling to get their way up into the zone. Vega's going to fall next. Dead. Hits the dirt as well. Everyone trying to struggle their way back up. Lucas actually has made it out of the blue and hasn't been turned on just yet, so will be alive for the time being. I'm not sure how much longer that's going to last as the blue zone is about to close up once again.
Oh, nice play coming in from Lusa. Sends it straight over onto its track, and down he goes. But of course, now this is the time to run. Lusa's now literally going to be running for his life. Meanwhile, quite a bit of chaos erupting in the zone as 2K gets sent right back on in. The players here from XO putting up quite a bit of a fight, looking to secure themselves up in towards that top 8. They were sitting in 9th place coming in towards this match. And now as we return over on towards the Citizens, they're actually showing a fairly decent amount of gameplay here. They're holding their own. They're not making too many mistakes. And it's looking to be a very good match instead, in fact, for them. So I'm curious to see whether or not they'll be able to get their numbers back up and push further through. This, of course, now allows that opportunity for Lucas to try and circle around, actually come in behind the players here from Active, and he could potentially even take aim over towards the Citizens just off in the distance.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Up he comes, unafraid, really. He's just testing his luck at this point, really going up and down, looking to see what he can spot out. Ted Bundy maybe hearing some footsteps. They're under assault at the moment. There's not really much that they can do in this situation. They have to keep their attention trained towards the problems. You can see Aatrox now putting their hits in towards Toxic as Toxic starts to climb the hill, but Lucas now here to make things happen. Ted Bundy goes down. That's a win for Lucas. He has just been taking dub after dub where he should not be, and he's made it up into top 5 all by himself after being struggling out there in the blue. Still alive. Aatrox now taking the shot against Toxic. Yaha, instantly clapped back. It's Unknown and Reki to make something happen here towards the bottom. They don't have the height advantage, but they're still winning the fight. Yaha gonna get taken down. Lucas finally getting punished after I don't even know how long that was of just surviving beyond all odds. Finally getting taken out. 4 teams remaining here. Toxic still taking the fight with Aatrox. Somebody has to go out here. Who's going to be taking the chicken out of this one? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, also not 100% sure just yet, but this is really a difficult position for Toxic to be in. They are caught down in that bowl, and as you can see now, the rest of the lobby, they're moving into position. The players here from XO coming onto that ridge line. We do have Aatrox on the opposite end. I don't see Toxic really getting out of this one just yet, because they are now getting third-partied from so many different angles. And it is going to be an absolute challenge for them to get out of this one in one piece. But of course, now good call coming in there from EXO, actually coming in with that third-party play, applying a little bit of pressure towards the players here from Atrox. But of course, at the same time, they can't focus all their attention just on that one particular point. They need to still be aware of what is happening in the rest of the zone. But now, as we have been reduced down to only these 3 teams, it doesn't really matter anymore. So all the fancy words go out the window, and now it is just a matter of survival. And I mean, if Toxic are able to clutch that one out, mad respect will then go towards them. But I really think it's going to be a super tough position to come in. They could maybe benefit from the rush coming in between EXO and the side of Atrox here.
Oh man, all the fancy words go out the window, and now it's just yee-haw time. We're going to see which team has the most yee and the most ha, and we'll see if they can make this happen. Sean coming up there, keeping themselves inside that smoke, obscuring that vision, making sure they're trying to just keep alive. But Toxic somehow still in this fight, despite being with that height disadvantage. They've stayed alive. They've been taking the fights here. Now Reki on his way up with that LMG in hand, ready to lay down some pain over into some of these teams. He's just scoping out the situation, seeing what he can find. And oh, what do you know? There's a free entry point here. Maybe they can sneak up and take this fight. This might just be a reverse sweep coming out of Toxic here as they're creeping up closer and closer. I'm not sure if this team is ready for what's about to be dished up to them. Here come the shots, up go the damage, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to keep up with Toxic as they move in. Unknown does hit the floor, though. This might just turn and backfire right on them. Raji stepping up to try and make something happen. He does get the shots in, but can he land the finishes? Now Atrox moving in to try and capitalize on the situation. They might just be swooping in like vultures. Toxic still trying to win the fight here, but it's going pear-shaped for everyone. Now Atrox trying to capitalize on the situation. Up they come into the smoke. Down Sean goes, and now it's a fight against Toxic, who've managed to make it up into top 2, but they're not looking good in a position to be able to take this chicken. And indeed, up they come. Yaha does go down. Mr. Raji doing what he can, but he can't find the final shots there. It is going to be Atrox taking that chicken.
I gotta say, mad respect to Toxic. I mean, that was some perseverance of note, some determination to get out of a deep place and back up onto high ground. I mean, beautiful comeback just out of that dip that they were in. Unfortunately, yeah, they were so close to that winner chicken dinner, but man, what an absolutely amazing play. And I definitely think the thing that really helped them was the fact that Atrox and EXO got into a bit of a tussle up on top of that plateau, so that provided that opportunity then for Toxic to get out. But man, they made the right calls. They just stuck to it. They just snuck out, found a few hits along the way. Unfortunately, it was close, but man, still a really good play coming in from them.
Yeah, some sneaky solos there, just grabbing a few kills on a Miramar also. I'm quite impressed with some of the sneaking abilities that we've seen so far, and I think what I do love seeing is I'm still seeing those Inkosi strats coming through. I'm still seeing a lot of teams like still sticking to their guns. They're still sticking to their style. They haven't drastically changed to try and adapt to what they're playing with today. And then some teams have. Some teams have had to really change up their strats for tonight. And I'm happy to see that both sides of that coin is being showcased tonight. I mean, Patchy, what did you think about that Miramar?
That was an interesting Miramar. We saw some like tries to utilize some of the high ground. It didn't really work out as well as it was intended to, but we did see some good strats getting pulled. I like what we saw a little bit early on with the awareness of the teams to actually realize, like, hold on, we need to be playing a little bit more strategic here just to try and play around the pressure. They could read it. So it was good to see the teams actually acknowledging that and seeing what is happening there. And then the end fight, really great as well. Toxic coming out with some good performance there, showing us they have some serious perseverance. And I really like what I saw from, was it Raze? I think it was Raze. They got themselves up with that one player who was like, nope, I'm not giving up. I mean, we've seen teams give up. We've seen teams give up in like way easier situations than that. So yeah, crazy to see that coming out. Really good. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for. You know, that's the kind of stuff that I'd like to see, because that's the sort of mentality you need when you move into Umzansi. So if any of these teams make it up into, I'm sure they will have deserved.
So once again, we saw Atrox there towards the top of the leaderboard this time around. Blank Legion actually falling in 10th place, who has been one of the teams that we've been seeing consistently in that top 3, top 5 spot. So that's going to be a bit of an interesting one to take a little bit of a shift towards that leaderboard as we look at it. Of course, standings of Miramar have been pretty interesting, and I think Raceland, yeah, definitely beautiful to see that commitment, that motivation to keep going, and those we love those solo cheeky kills. I mean, I personally just I love it. I love it when a solo gets away with silliness they really shouldn't be able to do. But looking at the standings, we also have the MVP for Miramar, which of course was an interesting one. I feel like I know. I feel like I know who it's gonna be. Oh, it's not gonna be who I thought it was, but it is gonna be someone from EXO. Redefined is gonna be Pero coming through with 5 kills. 404 damage and a total survival time of 25 minutes and 22 seconds. Staying alive right towards the end. Looking at it now, we've got one more map. We've got one more chance for some of these teams to get themselves their points, to get them into that top 8, and hopefully secure a spot in Sunday's games to get them that much closer to going through to Umzansi, which is of course what everyone wants to do. They want to get that spot in the big leagues, and unfortunately for the teams who didn't make today's spot, they will be going home and potentially to the next season of Inkosi to, as we said, redefine, reset, and hopefully come back even stronger. So for the time being, don't go away. We still have one more map. We still have a lot of action and a lot of changes that could be made to that leaderboard. So you don't want to miss this. Stay right with us. We'll be right back after the short break. Welcome back, everyone, to the Umzansi promotion relegation matches. If you've been with us, you know that this has been a little bit of a ride. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster of who's taking this one, who's taking that one. So far, we've had 3 maps tonight. We've just finished Miramar, and we can take a look at the standings to remind you what has happened and who took the winner-winner chicken dinner. Now, if we look at it here, Aatrox, they've made quite the explosion towards the end of today. I mean, first game, second game, you know, they were close, but they weren't quite there. But then third game comes through with that winner-winner chicken dinner and 6 kills, leaving them a total points of 21, taking that first place and helping them quite a lot with that overall leaderboard. The rest, Exa Redefined coming through, of course, the team with our MVP, which we'll look at just now. Toxic Esports in 3rd place, Race Clan in 4th place, Citizens Gaming in 5th with 11 points, Active Gaming still in the top 8 on the standings from Miramar with 8 points, Black Crystal, Honored Souls, Africa finishing up your top 8 for Miramar. Looking at the rest, Outsiders Official, Blank Legion, C4 Gaming, 2K Esports, Spaza 6, and Nibble Esports. Now, what's interesting to me is that, you know, we actually talked about this off stream. A lot of Inkosi teams filtering in to that top 8. And now, here it is, your MVP from Exa Redefined with 5 kills, 404 damage, and a total survival time of 25 minutes and 22 seconds. Staying alive. I'm waiting for those dad jokes, DK.
No, like I told you, like if I make them now on what we had in the previous match, it's too late already. It's like it's gonna be whatever. But
we're just saving the viewers.
Yeah. You can thank S Proxy for that one. But of course, I'm curious to see in this match though. You know, we just looked at the standings, and it is pretty close between 2K, Honored Souls, the players coming in from Black Crystal and Citizens. I'm expecting this to be a pretty neck-and-neck fight as we move into this final match. And, you know, I said this off-stream as well. This is the culmination of what they've gone through in the previous 3 matches. They now need to prove that they've learned something, they are able to adapt to it, and make it work and bring in those final few points if they want to qualify and be in those top 8.
Yeah, they need to have fixed their mistakes. They need to have changed what they needed to change, and hopefully we'll actually have a team drop Chinky today. It will give Patchy, you know, a reason to give some Patchy points out today. But looking at it, we also had a very interesting Erangel. We had a very friendly zone. We had a very safe flight path. We had pretty much everything safe for the teams as their first map, as their warm-up map, if we can call it that. Now they have their second Erangel of the day, and as you said, they've had an opportunity to learn what the teams... They've had an opportunity to already play Erangel. So it's exactly that. They need to have shown us that they've adapted, that they've learned from their mistakes, and they're ready to take this one away from the rest. Especially, as you said, if you're one of those 4 teams that are close, you know, teetering on, okay, top 8, not top 8, maybe I'm going to get this, maybe I'm not. This is the map that you need to go for and get your points. And I know Dr. Sid is going to be holding his breath, hoping that Citizens are going to be in that top 8 and making it through to Sunday's games. Otherwise, he's going to be a very, very sad man. So let's hope they bring the fire. Otherwise, I'm going to have to tell Mr. Sid that, and I'm going to be upset. But there it is. Your brackets, top 8 of today. Will be going through to Sunday's games, facing the bottom 8 of tomorrow's matchup, where the top 8 of tomorrow go straight on through to Umzansi, which is insane to see. But as we know, today has the most amount of pressure. Patchy, with all of this in mind, with us going back to Erangel, what are your thoughts about the teams that we've been watching today?
Well, you know, we've been talking about what they need to do to sort of get into the top 8 here, but I mean, perspective-wise, we're looking at still a pretty long run for these teams. You know, they get up into the top 8 and then they just move on to the next round where they have to make it all over again. So there's a long road ahead, but I have seen some really nice stuff coming out of the teams. I think we saw some good displays coming out, especially in that previous game there on Miramar. Very nice to see the teams under pressure and really like feel it and see how they perform under the pressure, and they're like, you know, not giving up, actually going for it. That's the kind of mentality, like I said, that you really need to have. And despite whether you make it up or not, whether you make it into the top 8 now, whether you make it into the top 8 on Sunday, whether you actually make it up into Umzansi or not, that's the mentality that you need to go in with and keep going with, because that's the mentality that ultimately gets you wins. That's the mentality that ultimately means you improve. The mentality of giving up and sort of like, you know, stepping back, I've never agreed with it. I know it's a big gamer thing, especially with teams that are like they have this min-max mentality where it's like, okay, well we've lost, so we may as well just give up now. I've never been for that one. I think you lose out on so much experience. You lose out on really good, robust mental game, which I think is actually a huge part of the whole gaming in general. If you want to improve, if you want to get better, if you want to strengthen your team, and that's how you do it. You've got to keep the mental game strong. You've got to keep going. And so far, it's pretty good. I like to see the teams not giving up regardless of the situation. They're putting in the hard work. So I want to see a nice close out here on our good old bread and butter Erangel map. I want to see a nice close out. We've had our initial testing. These teams have felt each other for 3 games in a row now. No more testing. No more, do we go in? Do we not go in? I want to see just like full foot on the gas, yeehaw action.
The yeehaw comes back. The yeehaw comes back.
It always comes back.
We want the results, is basically what we want. We want to obviously know who's going to be going through to Sunday's games, and we want to see the results of their work that they've been putting in today, making sure that they've come to this point. I mean, anyone coming through from Inkosi, the fact that they fought their way here, the fact that, we've got teams from Umzansi who have been fighting and now have another opportunity. That is what you are witnessing tonight, everyone who are watching and still with us. It is the last map of the first day of promotion relegation, so you better stay with us. The action will be brought to you by DK and Patchy. This is hosted by Northern Gaming Africa. Everyone is here watching and waiting for the results of this game. Guys, take it away.
Whew. That's what we like. It's full circle. Whew. That's there we go. It's exactly that. It's whew. We start at point A and we go all the way back around to point A. That's where we at. It's Erangel. It's the final map. Let's have a look and see if these teams have what it takes. They've got final blast of energy to make it over that finish line. Nobody seems to be heading down into that island just yet. We'll see. Maybe C4 looking like they might just try. Nope. It looks like they're heading towards the mainland as well. So it's just going to be sadness all around for me. Nobody likes the island in this group. It's why? I like the island's cool. Come on, guys.
Ooh. I mean, well,
come on, somebody has to go to the island now.
Now their hands are kind of forced, right? Now they have to venture onto that Sanhok.CAT island. So this is going to be quite an interesting kind of conclusion to the day's matches that we've had. Not a nice flight path to start off with. It was an okay flight path. Not a nice one, but it was okay. And that zone, yeah, the zone coming in with that shift, of course, heading all the way in towards that southwestern side, it is definitely going to bring quite a few interesting rotations, especially with that eastern bridge still being accessible in this first phase. So as we're going to be moving from that one into the second phase, I think that's where things are going to get pretty interesting. But of course, already a few teams dropping down, getting aggressive in the early stage, that of course being the players from Blank Legion and XO right here up in towards prison. And we can see Bob, just bobbing back and forth there in between the buildings, in between the rooms, looking to see if we can find the position of the players there from XO. And XO now being reduced down to Pero and Sean.
Yeah, that was very quick. From one side of the leaderboard, now you're on the back end, almost going out, straight off the bat, which is a little bit tough to experience here. But Blank Legion are not, letting up just yet, so they're just keeping the pressure on for the time being. What I also noticed is that Toxic is all the way up on the literal opposite side of the map to the zone, so they've got a little bit of a marathon ahead of them. Other than that, XO, to try and defend their title here, to try and defend those points, they're going to have to make something happen here. Rambo, a little bit low on HP there, so not really in a good position to push. And this might just be an opportunity. XO could make something happen here, but they've got to choose their moment carefully. They've got to choose their battles as well. If they make this happen, though, they could just be picking up a whole bunch of kills.
Yeah, this could be quite a strengthening play coming in for the side here of XO if they are able to come out victorious in this engagement. But of course, my main focus is going to be on Citizens, Black Crystal, the players from Honored Souls, as well as 2K, as those are the 4 teams I've mentioned before that are pretty much in contention for that 7th and 8th slot. There's not a lot of point separation coming in between the 2 teams, in between the 4 teams, rather. I think it sits on a grand total of about 14 points difference between 10th place and 7th place. So I'm curious to see how those teams are going to step up and what they're going to bring to the table moving into this final match. And if they're going to be applying anything they could have potentially learned from the opposition in our previous 3 games. But of course, now we have the players here from Blank Legion just holding on to that second floor. Well, holding on to the floor. It's not the second floor. That's actually the first floor. Yes. XO holding on to the second floor. And up comes the reinforcements as Blank Legion now get ready to move on in. Bob and Rambo duoing it up again. And of course, Detective and Livernox moving in on the ground floor as they get ready to apply the pressure. And this is going to be an interesting engagement. Looking to see who's going to be the victors in this.
Yeah, it's the ground floor, but, let me just mess with your mind a little bit. It's the ground floor, but it's also the first floor you come in contact with when you come into the house. So it's the ground floor, the first floor. We'll see Sean taking quite a bit of damage there as they up the steps. They Blank Legion looking to put the pressure on, and they do quite a bit of damage. Sean, not enough time to res back up or bring the health back up. So, of course, they're just going to get straight up pushed. Sean thirsted immediately, but a couple of third parties up here from Godless. No, actually, not a third party. It's EXO trying to contain the violence here, but unfortunately, that split isn't going to be enough to save them, and Godless actually just going to have to turn around, turn tail, and run for it, because Para, of course, going to get thirsted very quickly as well. So that's a bit of a shame for XO, but at least their hopes and dreams will stay alive for the time being on the back of Godless, who now has a lot of work to do.
I don't know, for some other reason, when you said XO now, it reminded me of Gossip Girl. Not that it's related to anything we have happening on screen, but hey, just a little bit of a office overshare happening right here. Interesting position, though, coming in for the players there from Raze all the way over in towards that multi-power position. A nice isolated looting spot they've got. Also looking over to the players there from Toxic, again with the split, but of course, in a completely uncontested region of the map. So I'm curious to see whether or not they're going to look to condense that split, bring it together, and then move up as a unit back up in towards zone. Also, the players there from 2K, not too far away from zone, just holding on to that North George position. And I'm curious to see whether or not they're going to bring it. I mean, they've got 14 points to try and make up if they are looking to push into potentially 7th place. If they're making a run for that 8th place, of course, not so many points required, only 10 points, but still, they got to step up and deliver on that front.
Well, we've got a couple of teams that need to move on in, specifically Toxic, all the way still up in Stolba. Luckily for them, that first zone doesn't move all that quickly, so they've still got a bit of time, but definitely want to make your way into the zone as soon as possible. Unfortunately, no one has gone into the military island just yet. You know what? I really hope that the zone just goes straight onto that military island. Like, really, I just, stick it to the rest of these teams. I want that zone to go straight onto the military island. I want everyone to start packing themselves across that bridge in utter chaos and punishment for their insolence of not giving any priority to that military island. My poor military island getting no love whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a disgrace, Patchy. It is.
It is. It is.
I mean, I don't
This
even...
is what separates the good teams from the okay teams, all right?
The military
good teams,
island.
yeah, they're there, but the good teams choose that military island. The okay teams, meh.
Yeah, even if they just rotate straight through it, that also counts because they went there, you know. And now we're hoping that the zone kind of forces their hand as we see Gad here now trying to pick off a few shots there to... Yeah, that does look like AMD. The players there from Raze. Sorry, I was like a little bit of a 80. Ooh, shiny moment.
Getting distracted by every passing squirrel. as one does, of course.
Yeah.
Anyway,
nice shiny squirrel.
Shiny squirrel, yeah. You're going to be catching that one real quick.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately for whichever shiny squirrel that crosses your path, is we know how many Pokeballs you keep in your bag. In any case, Active Gaming going to be up here on just ahead of Raze. Ted Bundy and Vegas just going to be moving across. They are in line of sight, so they need to be careful here for the shots. They don't have as much cover as Raze, so we'll see what happens on that front. That's all the way towards the east there. Just down south of Pachinki. Lots of teams are now finally moving in. Toxic is making their way across, thankfully. Just in the nick of time, we'll be moving in to the north of the zone. But of course, we're going to see the zone shift up once again. Man, my fingers are crossed here. I need that shift, and it does. Hey, you know what? It shifts down there. You know what? I'll take it. It's not
Yeah.
all the way on the military island, but you know what? I'll take it.
Hey, dude, the military base is still in that zone. I mean, I think the PUBG gods
take
heard you
those.
and they answered your prayers. I'm curious to see though what the teams are going to do. Will we potentially now have some teams rotating in towards that Sanhok.CAT island? I mean, it is a fairly 50-50 kind of split. Just looking at that position of where the zone is, it's kind of 50-50. Not 100%, but like 50-50. The water also taking a little bit out of that, but definitely some nice rotations now about to come on through. We already see the players there from Active, Blank Legion, Citizens, and Rays all rushing for that far eastern bridge. And then, of course, we see quite a bit of congestion coming on towards this western bridge. As we got 2K, we got the Honored Souls, we got the players there from C4, as well as the Outsiders, all now moving up into the vicinity. We do still have Black Clover now in a very spread out approach. Draken all the way on towards that coastline, completely isolated from the rest of the team. Maybe it's a strategic maneuver that we don't know of, but of course we'll find out soon enough what exactly they have in store for us.
We will indeed find out soon enough. And as you can see, the team's finally giving a little bit of love to that military island. Active Gaming moving down into that particular position on the eastern bridge. A lot of teams now crowding around the western bridge as well, trying to get their piece of the pie. And indeed, it is time to make it happen. It's about damn time to make it happen, as they are finally giving it what it deserves. A little bit of attention here. So many teams off towards that western bridge. That's going to be lots and lots of fights. Here's Manny putting the shots in towards Titans. Black Crystal's moving across. The Thirst comes in very quickly as well. He's just going to pick that kill up. The rest of C4 also needing to make their way down and just keep their positioning good. The rest of the teams also in a very difficult position. I mean, with all the crowding that's happening around those bridges, there is sure to be a whole bunch of fights that are ready to break out.
Yeah, definitely quite a few. I mean, we still have all the teams alive. Everyone is represented. Not all the players, but all the teams. Every team is still in this fight. And we got those really stretched out rotations, of course, coming along that eastern front. Looking over towards the west, Toxic looking pretty golden right there on the edge of Primorsk. Of course, a decent position to be in, but they are going to potentially try and just improve that ever so slightly without putting themselves in any I don't know, like any dangerous positions really. Like, yeah, they don't want any of those vulnerabilities to creep in. I mean, sorry, I'm really bad at Englishing today, but whatever. Here we go. As a, ooh, I just saw a name that I'm gonna choke up on completely. So I'll just leave that one to you, Petri.
All right, well, here we are. Luminot going to go down. Detective also going to hit the deck as Godless puts the shots in. That Vector absolutely tearing it up. A bunch of teams now across that bridge, so they haven't made it into the island for the time being. C4 now trying to close on in, but they're still inside the zone, so at least they've got the space. Toxic just continuing to be exactly what their name suggests and just chilling away from all the fight. But there's the zone shift that I was looking for. Screw the mainland. Let's go to that military island right there. Going to center down on towards that western bridge, and we're going to get some more shenanigans for sure. Active Gaming now making their way in, followed by the Citizens coming up behind them, so we're going to see a whole lot more fights happening. These Souls turning their attention towards C4, ready to put those shots across, but they've got to be careful because a bunch of teams are going to be in the vicinity very soon. Bash goes down, is dead, puts the hits in. That's Aatrox doing some work there in the kill feed. C4 actually going to be splitting 2-2. That's going to be moving the attention for Hellboy. He's going to have a difficult time keeping these guys under control right now, which is exactly what C4 were intending to make happen here. That's a good 2-2 split to try and detract attention, split up the crosshairs of Souls. So for the time being, that's some good maneuvering happening from C4. They just need to make sure they continue to keep themselves in check and they don't get picked apart. That would be a little bit of a problem. Two of their players are still outside of the zone, though, so they do need to make their way around. But this could be a good flank, potentially. An attack from two sides that might just tear Souls apart if they're not careful. So they're going to have to maintain their hold on this compound really, really well to make sure that they don't get taken down. Althea are going to be taken down by Bob in the meantime. That's Black Crystals getting assaulted by Blank Legion, and up come a bunch of players here rotating immediately in to try and get themselves a piece of that pie, trying to get themselves into that zone. Aatrox making it happen. taking a little bit of damage, but they do make their presence known as they rotate around. Some third-party shots coming in from a bunch of different teams, but they won't go down just yet, so they will stay alive for the time being. 12 teams left, but we're only 3 zones deep.
Mm. I mean, this is a really interesting position. Some great awareness coming in there from the players of the Honored Souls. At first, it looked like it was. I was pretty confused with the rotation. Oh, nice hit into Atrox right there. But of course, I thought for some other reason that we were a little bit closer over on towards that Primorsk region. And then I realized, oh no, never mind. We're just really close to that eastern bridge. But of course, speaking about eastern bridges, the outsiders, they've also now seen their numbers dwindle quite a bit. And now it's up to us taken to try and, you know, just hold on. Just potentially ride out the storm as we have the rest of the team. I think if they're still alive, they should be positioned over on towards that military island. But the players here from 2K, they now need to bring it in. They need to bring in those points. They need to step up and potentially try and clutch out this game as much as they can.
Absolutely. They've just got to take what they can get for the time being. I'm not too sure how much that's going to be. Of course, as that zone starts to close up once again, things are about to get a lot more toasty. Hopefully, we head straight down into that island to really make things difficult and interesting. Although, who knows, it is going to head down straight onto that island. Active Gaming feeling real good about that shift as well. They're going to be in a good spot. But C4 Active... well, C4, Atrox, and 2K also need to make their way across, especially the Black Crystals as well. So lots of rotations need to happen from that mainland. That's what you get for sticking on the mainland. Now you have to try and squeeze out a rotate across that water somehow. C4 taking a shot in towards Soul's Clutch, going to go down. Loose Ass moving up for those thirsts. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Just going to pick those up for free. Those are 2 easy points to pick up here. And there they are, nice and quick. And Citizens Thug will get taken down as well. Blank Legion now moving up in towards the Black Crystals here, but all of them under some serious pressure to rotate because, of course, that zone's all the way on that military island. Hellboy going to get taken down there as C4 make their assault known. Styx getting taken out by Dark Ghost. Sovereign hitting Dark Ghost in response. C4 getting out some fights there. Blank Legion will start to make that rotate in, and they're just going to go straight down to see what they can find out of the situation. Very, very tough for these teams, but maybe Blank Legion will be able to pick up a couple of kills. Nope, Black Crystal just going to instantly rotate away from that situation. They're going to get in the vehicles and see if they can try their luck with maybe that bridge. We'll see if they can get across. Here they come. 2K going to be doing some gatekeeping here, waiting to see if they can pick up some kills for free as Black Crystals are trying to get across. They're just going to go straight into the water, go for the swim, see if they can make it happen. In they go, and here comes the rotate. We'll see if they can survive this.
Yeah, just way too many BBs right here, but of course now.
Yeah.
I can see the players there from 2K now trying to decide which way around they want to try and take this. They're trying to keep a very watchful eye on the players here from Black Clover, but of course, ideally, we'd like to see that rush come through, moving straight down in towards the zone, and let the side of the Black Crystals kind of just, you know, suffer what's ever coming their way. Because if 2K wants to make it up into towards top 8, they're gonna have to step it up. They can't afford to sit around and wait for a player that's, you know, just bobbing around in the water. I mean, Draken is just dragging them down. That's essentially what's happening.
Yeah, and well, he's doing a damn good job at that for the time being, taking a little bit of damage. Instantly exploded, as that boat is not going to survive the onslaught. Now here comes Dujul. It's Dujul. He's going to make it happen. He's swimming underneath that bridge in the cool, crisp, clean water. Unknown going to be here behind this tree, scoping out those C4 players are taking way too much damage there as well, trying to get some smokes down to cover the push up. He has to make any assault happen here because basically there is nowhere to go at this stage. The players are moving up, 10 teams remaining. A bit of a misplaced Molotov is going to mean that Dejaro was taken, might just get taken by his own molly here, pushing up with that Dak machine. Going to put some damage in. Shanks goes down. Diablo as well. Bihan getting hit by Kato there in the kill feed. Jara was taken, will stay alive for the time being. Mr. Raji puts the shots in as well. C4 getting assaulted their sticks, not going to be able to survive as the thirst comes through for sure. 8 teams remaining, 19 players left alive as that zone getting smaller and smaller by the second. Jarhead going to be doing what Jarheads do best, and that is put the lead into the enemy right in front of you, and that's exactly what we want to see. Sovereign now making their way around to try and keep things under control, but with that blue zone moving into 30 seconds, things have to be swift, things have to be quick, and right now the Outsiders looking nice and comfy in the middle of that zone.
Yeah, I mean, Rogi just getting caught in a very dodgy spot right there behind the rock in a hard place, and down he goes back into the lobby. But of course, yeah, 7 teams, 13 players left to move. C4 gonna try and make their way on in. We do see Reki there from Toxic as well, just on the approach back up in towards zone. Active Fire, actually in a active rather. I don't know why I said Active Fire. I got confused. Let's go with that one. Active holding on to that eastern edge of the zone. I'm curious to see what Ted Bundy and Gad are going to bring in this final potential few zones. And of course, the Rays now coming in from that southern side. But this is where C4 could now step up and just bring the pain, bring the hurt, and look to secure themselves a decent position. Maybe get up in towards that top 8. They already have 7 kills on the board. Now, if we add that onto their points, it puts them on a grand total of 16. So close, but of course, they still need several more points to get up to 22, which is the minimum requirement at the current moment coming into this match for that 8th slot. So still a bit of work left to be done at the hand there of C4. So we're going to be paying close attention to what they have and whether or not they're going to be able to clutch and not bring in those points. Meanwhile, we do see the players here from the Outsiders still just hanging around in that center zone. Could this be the point where they bring an absolutely insane play? I don't know, but they're definitely going to have to step up those kills. Only having 2 so far puts them on a grand total of 11. Now, they're also chasing that 22-point mark, and we can see the players there from C4 now, of course, just feeling the pain, feeling the hurt as Jarhead gets shot in the head. Down he goes. And now, C4, the numbers starting to dwindle once again.
Yeah, the numbers are starting to dwindle, and well, down they go. Sovereign and Manny getting taken out there. Reki on the back line, very low on HP, trying to stay alive and squeeze his way into the zone, but not much space to get there, and too many people watching for the potential push, and maybe he's just about to get taken out. Jara trying to maybe put a little bit of pressure here on towards these players from Rays up ahead of him. Seeing if he can spot any of them out for the time being. The Rays will just be in the grass, waiting for Reki to show himself before they put those shots in. Lucas, of course, looking for it, but they've got a couple of players to worry about. Reki will get taken down. That's going to be 4 teams remaining now, but nobody's inside the zone, really into the middle. They're just skirting around the edges. It's just going to be a crossfire fight now as Rays and the Outsiders are going head-to-head here. Active, just chilling in the compound on the side, keeping their cover for the time being. Aatrox off on the side, just going to let the fight happen. Dead puts the hits into the Jara. Things are going to be difficult on the back line here, taking lots of damage, trying to squeeze his way out of that. Wingle-wangle all the way, snake his way to victory. Try and escape some of those bullets with some Matrix skills here. Outsiders under quite a bit of pressure here. Rays has the upper hand for the time being. They've got a little bit of height advantage, but it might just get taken away from them depending on how this fight goes for them.
Yeah, it's still going to be an interesting one, and a good position still there for Active, holding on to those compounds. Fortunately, the zone shifted up in their favor, but the rest of the lobby is looking pretty tough as Atrox now takes several hits at the hand there of Perk. And of course, is a perk of the sneak, as they can now use this opportunity to just try and strengthen their own position within the zone. And of course, now Gato striking down. Oh, out comes and he just puts the shots on end. But of course, he too now gets taken right on down. And the Outsiders are reduced to lead. The last remaining player, lied. I don't know which name really, but that one. Lead, let's go for that because that's what Patchy said. So let's use this one and see whether or not the Outsiders lead can try and make a final bit of a rush. As we can see the shots come straight on through, trying to come in behind the tree, trying to find that hard cover. But of course now Rays gonna try and raise an army. Will they be able to get it done? Will they be able to find those finishing blows? Oh, the Outsiders, the vehicle, lead is still just holding up. If the shots come through, Atrox can still sneak on in. and steal the kill away. Finding some easy points on the board. The Outsiders only sitting on 3 kills. It has been a pretty tough day for them, but will they be able to make that bounce back? You see Gad now absolutely relentless in his efforts, still trying to find the spray across. But I gotta say though, I mean, we got some really interesting positions, especially in Raze here. They smacked up center zone. They got a bit of high ground on the one side, low ground on the other, and some pretty good angles though.
Indeed, indeed, and certainly are using it at this point to try and make something happen. But Gad 007 also trying to spray through that smoke and do some damage over towards Aatrox. They're taking quite a bit of it through that smoke because, of course, smoke doesn't block bullets, and Dead just found that out. 3 teams now remaining. Active Gaming, of course, Raze. And we also have the Outsiders still alive up here onto the top of the hill. With that zone shift as well, it's going to mean that Outsiders are in an okay position here. But Active Gaming find themselves out of the position as well. So they need to push up into the zone, which is going to expose them. Now Lusas looking for the shot. So is Gad, but he's taking so much damage. Down he goes. That's a problem there. Active Gaming look like they might not make it into this zone. They might just be going out third here. It's going to be an Outsiders versus Raze final zone here to finish things off potentially. Unless something happens here, something sneaky comes through the back door, maybe Outsiders find a couple of shots in towards Raze, or maybe Active Gaming make a quick comeback here, but it's running out of time very, very quickly. They have to be careful. Very low on HP. Gad looking to see if Ted can maybe come up and get that res through. Outsiders still just keeping their position here on the top of the hill. They don't want to peek out. They don't want to get too aggressive. They're actually waiting for Raze to finish the fight there with Active. We'll see if they can make it happen. Ted Bundy goes down. That might just be the end of things. It should be, at least. As, well, Gad is not going to be very high on the HP. AMD actually just going to be rushing straight up for the finishes here. As Gad moving up, snaking his way up the side of that mountain, taking damage. But he does land the shots that he was looking for. At least going to get the thirst as well. Very low on HP, but he's come out of that one on top for the time being. He has at least kept his team in the game for now and picked up a couple of points for himself as well. Now we'll just see if Ted can make that crawl happen, and potentially maybe Gad will get the res up, and that's actually huge for Active. Maybe if they can get back up here, they might just be able to take a fight with Raze.
Yeah, they definitely stand a pretty good fighting chance if they can get Ted back up, get that health bar full. Still a decent position coming in over on towards this eastern side. Also looking at the Outsiders, they have a decent spot over on towards the west. So this could possibly be a potential tough one for the side of Raze here. But, I mean, at the current moment, all the teams are fairly evenly split up. And now we wait to see where this next phase is going to go. Who will it be favoring? And who's going to be the teams to try and squeeze back on in? There is nowhere where the zone can go where there won't be a player in the zone, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks pretty close. And of course, the Outsiders now being the team caught on the outside of the zone as they too now have to start moving in. It shifts ever so slightly in favor of Raze, but Active already right there on the edge. We can see Ted now just looking to improve his position. Burke now just perched behind the rock, keeping a very watchful eye. We got Lusas just a little bit further down on towards the south there, holding a little bit of a lower ground possession. But will they be able to get it in, though? A lot of grenades, a lot of utilities now getting sent all over the place. The smoke grenades come out, the flashbangs, the mollies, the frag grenades, everything is going to get deployed, and are just patiently waiting. But he doesn't actually have such a great vantage point from the top here. So curious to see what they're going to try and to do to improve that position. Meanwhile, that zone is closing in. The blue zone is about to start forcing their hands. Out comes the mollies. Cat sends it over. Fortunately, overshoots. Perk still just holding on to that rock, hoping for dear life. Actually, this one is going to be a really, really close call.
It is. And I'm waiting for that final boom, bam, bada, bop, boom, pow. And there it is. Gonna get taken straight out there. Gad finding those shots up. He comes. So much damage there done to him as he gets caught straight out. Lead gonna find the shots, but into the blue zone he goes. And that's the end of him, basically. Ted Bundy making sure that he is inside that smoke. He's going to get caught out by Raze there. The shots coming through. Lead instantly thirsted. Now it's a 2v1, but Ted Bundy, we've seen him before. He can make this happen potentially. Comes up to take the fight, but not landing enough hits. He does find the shots, but he's low on HP and instantly found out by Lusas. This should be done and dusted. Ted Bundy on 1 HP. This should be done and dusted. It is. Down he goes. That was almost Ted Bundy greatness.
Man, that was that was so close. I mean, I'm not quite sure how far Ted was within that zone, but if he was in zone, he could have maybe, I don't know, just like I almost want to say he could have tried to heal up, but I don't know if it was really worth the effort. But what a great effort though, coming in from the side of Raze here, finishing off with an absolute banger of a match, coming in on 12 kills right in to clutch out that final match.
Yep.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to do math while watching, and I'm not really good at math, so I'm gonna leave it up to the professionals to do the math, and we can wait for the leaderboard as it comes through. But that's the last Erangel done and dusted. We'll take a look at the standings as soon as they're done. But I think there's a few teams that have basically just solidified themselves as spots. I don't know, DK, what do you think? I love it when you guys say nothing and I keep talking and you're just like, we don't know what you just said. We don't know. We don't know.
Hi.
It's fine. At least they
Welcome
heard
back.
me. At
Welcome
least
back.
they heard me. You didn't hear me, but they heard me. So
That's all that counts.
ah,
That's all that matters. As long
I
as they
agree
heard
with
you.
what S Proxy said.
Yeah, we could see it was important, you know.
you
like,
guys can just look confused and it's
Mm.
fine. It makes you look bad. It doesn't. It's fun.
Yeah, whatever she said, yes, that
Yes.
yes.
Well, what I was saying is I was actually asking you a question of basically I'm pretty sure there's a few teams that have obviously just gone through and taken themselves a spot away from a few others. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah.
Tried to do quick math and it didn't work well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even gonna bother with the math because that's gonna fail me. I can
Yeah, me
promise you
neither.
that. I can tell you it's definitely gonna be super close to figure out whether or not the teams have done enough to secure their position. I mean, Outsiders, they were trying their best to get in. 2K, they were trying. C4, they were trying. We could see the efforts, we could see the work being done, and of course, out comes the results at the end of the match. And of course, I think that once we move into those overall standings, that is where the results will lie. But of course, Raze Clan coming in with a nice 12 kill finish. I mean, so really good one there for them. They've already been able to secure their position within that top 8. But the teams that we're going to be looking at is going to be the side there of C4, 2K, and of course the Outsiders. Was this enough for them to move into top 8, sorry.
Yeah, that's the question. We were trying to figure out, okay, you know, where are these outliers going? How far can some teams actually be taking some spots away? And you know, where is the line? Where's the line where you say, okay, no, it's done, it's dusted. I mean, obviously, Citizens Gaming finding themselves in ninth spot, with Exo Redefined, Black Crystal on its souls, Sparta 6, Nibble Esports. So I mean, there's a few teams that obviously didn't do well this game, but some of them are already up on that leaderboard. But it's that question of, okay, well, has something changed? Has someone been knocked out of place? And here's your MVP coming through from C4 Gaming. It's Sovereign with 5 kills, 402 damage, and a total survival time of 19 minutes and 3 seconds, coming in clutch there for the team and doing the damage that needed to be done. So yeah, we're gonna have to wait for the admins, the professionals, to do the math and put everything together so we can find out who is going through to Sunday's games, and there it is. So congratulations to the teams that you see on your screen right now, because they have solidified themselves a spot for Sunday's games, which obviously means they have an opportunity, of course, to get into Umzansi. Now, Sunday's games are going to be a lot more competitive and a lot more, I think, a lot tougher than what we saw today, because today it was the bottoms of Umzansi versus the bottom of Inkosi, and on Sunday it's going to be a combination of the top on both sides versus the top 8 that we see here. So a lot of work has been done, but Raze Clan, Aatrox, Active Gaming, Blank Legion, Toxic Esports, Exo Redefined, Citizens Gaming, Black Crystal, your journey is not yet over. You still have an opportunity to come back on Sunday and fight it out. Unfortunately, for the teams that are not on this screen right now, which we will be looking at here, they have unfortunately not made it, and we will be saying goodbye to Outsiders Official, On Its Souls Africa, C4 Gaming, 2K Esports, Sparta 6, and Nibble Esports, as they unfortunately have not found themselves a spot, and will have to go back to Inkosi Season 4 to potentially grind their way all the way back to the top. DK, Patchy, what do you guys think about that?
Man, it's unfortunate to see, C4 and 2K not being able to make it in, and it's always unfortunate to see, teams coming from Umzansi, not being able to make it back into the next season. So it is a bit of a feels bad there for the outsiders, but of course, I'm pretty sure that they are aware, what they need to go focus on, what they need to work on to improve and come back even stronger in the next seasons. But I got to give it though, C4 2K, they still brought it into this final match. They still stepped up, and you can see with just the sheer amount of kills that they brought in, they're already sitting on 12 and 11 kills. So they have the ability. They can play the game. It's now just a matter of, are they able to prioritize that early enough? They need to, whatever they activated in this last match, they need to be able to repeat that, but from the first match, and not wait until the end like we saw here. So I don't know if it maybe was just a little bit of nerves or whatever the situation is, but still a good play coming in there from them. I mean, even on its Souls, they had a few moments of brilliance that we saw throughout the games here today. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to secure themselves a spot. But if we look at the leaderboard, it is so close. I mean, 8th place is on 24 points. So it's 1 point away from the outsiders. So it's not like there's a big margin separating these teams. It has still been a pretty close fight all the way to the finish.
It was extremely close, but unfortunately these teams will have to come back in season 4, and hopefully we'll see them again. I do hope that the teams that were there will be coming back. And here's a reminder of the brackets. Now, of course, the first set of groups are done and dusted. We have seen who is our top 8, who is going to be going through to Sunday's games, which will obviously be the top 8 from tomorrow's, or the bottom 8 from tomorrow's games, with the top 8 of tomorrow's games going straight on through to Umzansi. So thank you so much to the groups that played today. Thank you so much to the teams. I think they did pretty well. As you mentioned, very close. 1 point difference between 8th and 9th place, between that you're in, you're not in spots. And I mean, past that it was 23, 20, 20, so it's not like it's a ridiculous amount of points that no one could catch up to. All the teams that were playing today, they were very competitive, and there were a few teams that actually took away some winner chicken dinners that were in towards that lower third. So it's unfortunate, but at least we know that the competitive scene is still alive, and there's still a lot of talent out there that just needs to come back to Inkosi, register, and show us once again what they can do in season 4. But with that said, that's basically day 1 of promotion relegations done and dusted. We will be back tomorrow with not only a PUBG segment, but of course the FIFA segment has begun as well. So be sure to not miss it. Go and follow Modern Gaming Africa on all their socials. They're on Instagram, they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, they're everywhere. They're on Twitch, they're on YouTube. So go make sure you follow them, give them some love, to stay up to date with everything that's happening, of course, with the promotion relegations, and to stay up to date with their new events that will be coming out as soon as we finish off this weekend, which is going to be very exciting. It's going to be very exciting. DK, Patchy, thank you guys so much for giving us the action. It was a spicy night, and I think tomorrow and the rest of this weekend is going to be just as good, if not even better, because now we're going to see the top of the tops facing off. We're going to see a mix of that facing off on Sunday. We're going to really see who's going to come out on top for Umzansi Season 4. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be insane to watch, so you don't want to miss it. That's about it from us. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your hostess, Proxy. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay with us. Stay safe.